Hello, everyone. Happy September 21st. Welcome to the first AIMBOT show. This is a show I pitched to GDQ showcasing FPS speedruns and shooters, games that I've enjoyed for years, games that I've played a lot. And I'm really happy and really honored that GDQ gave me the opportunity to host the show and to be able to show all this off to everyone. So the first show is something that, if you know me, you'll recognize as a game that I've done for years. Borderlands 2 was pretty much my first major speed game, and it's something that I ran for such a long time that even now, after I haven't run it for probably a year, 2 years at this point, people still come up to me and say, I recognize you from the Borderlands runs that you did. So with absolutely huge honor, I have two of the best runners in the community right now, ZZ Rules 21 and Unjust Action here. ZZ is going to show off the solo gauge category, which is really difficult, and I'm really glad that I got someone as good as him to show it off. So ZZ, go ahead and take it away.
Well, thank you, Emerald. Likewise, I'm honored that you picked me to kick off AIMBOT. Like Amy said, we're going to be running the solo 90% gauge category, specifically with DLC, which is important for two specific reasons. One, Gage is a DLC character, so we can actually run with her. The other important distinction is we get to start with some starting DLC weapons at the start, which speed up the early game a ton, and we actually use them throughout the entirety of the run. So the last little bit of housekeeping before we move on, we are in patch 1.1, which is the first patch that Gage was introduced into the game. And she is very, very broken for many reasons that we'll get to and will be very evident throughout the course of the run. So with that being said, we're ready to start. So in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. We start off here. We have a short little cutscene. There's a story in this game. None of us play this series for any of the story, but there's a little bit of backstory. We're getting discovered by Claptrap to kick off the events of the game. So it's a short little 40-second cutscene before we can actually control our character. We just kind of have to sit here and wait for Claptrap to let us progress.
One thing you'll notice right off the bat is that he has guns right away, and that's part of the Gauge DLC. And there's specific guns loaded into a preset save. So he has a sniper that does a certain amount of damage that is really good for the early game.
And then to a lesser extent, the SMG that I'm holding is really good for one fight and one fight only, but it speeds up that fight a little bit. So, here we're going to be starting off with the majority of the early game. A lot of what's going to happen early game is we have to escort Claptrap to certain triggers throughout the first two maps. And we just kind of have to go to this point, wait for Claptrap, go to this point, wait for Claptrap. We have a couple of things that we can do throughout the run that speed things up a little bit, but that's what the majority of this early game is going to be. So first things first, I want to equip that sniper, like everyone said. Very specific parts. This is the best sniper that we can use to shoot and kill enemies in the early game, which is going to speed things up a ton throughout the first couple areas of the game.
Also, sorry, I kind of stepped onto that at the beginning. Unjust, if you want to introduce yourself as well.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Unjust. I am the 4th place runner of this game. Glad to be here doing this. Nice to have this category actually be in GDQ for once.
And the two of you are what, first place in 3-player co-op? Yeah.
I do not run 2-player co-op. I only run 3-player with him.
Yeah.
And then we also have record in co-op all quests.
Yeah, which that's another really fun run.
So right,
it's a very fun one.
So right here, ZZ's being careful to not pick up any health. There's a little bit of a trick we do here, where if you bleed out, and then your body ragdolls inside of another piece of collision, if you have high enough FPS, you'll get flung out at a really high rate of speed. And you can do that here. to hit the save station through the wall, and then we can save quit, and that progresses Claptrap forward. That saves a lot of time.
A lot of this early game optimization is just how fast can we push Claptrap to his next trigger.
Yes, and basically every time Claptrap has a move trigger, he can also soft lock as well. So that's always fun when you're doing runs.
One of the things
You
you'll
can't soft lock in this area really, but
yeah, soft locking in this area is hard. One of the things you'll notice is the ZZ save quit right there, and that's specifically because we time this off in-game time to make loads comparable between everyone, because how good your computer is like directly affects how fast your game loads. So just to make it fair, we have a load remover, and save quitting there puts Claptrap like 10 seconds ahead of where he would be if ZZ just let him walk. So
that's quite significant.
It saves like minutes in real time. It's not just getting things up in game time. It is a very long cutscene that we have to wait for Claptrap to say all this dialogue, move to this area, go through these animations, and we can just develop it.
Yeah, and he's going to be save quitting throughout the first 30 or 45 minutes of the run until he gets to a certain point, and then he's not going to save quit anymore because of various things we'll explain when that happens.
If you get tired of the save quitting early on, it doesn't happen too long.
You'll need that funny little robot's help to reach Sanctuary.
Stick through it, and then
I'll
have a ton of gameplay without any
and the
save
only
quitting.
place you'll be truly safe. Get to Sanctuary.
So this early game's pretty straightforward. All these enemies spawn out of the 3 distinct holes in the cliff that you can see. So that's why he's standing right here. It's right next to Claptrap, and he can just see all 3 holes at once and shoot them extremely easily. One of the particular snafus of this early section that is really only evident here is that dead enemies still have a hitbox. Your bullets can get blocked by them. So part of the early game skill in Borderlands is learning how to shoot around dead enemies to hit the alive ones.
Yep, and there were a few extra dead enemies than just what we needed to kill. The experience route for this run is extremely specific. We have 3 different check marks that we have to hit throughout the run. So, kill extra enemies to get a little bit more XP.
And for people questioning why this is on a show called AIMBOT, trust me, there is a big reason. The character that he's playing has an aimbot skill, and that's a pretty big thing.
It's a little significant.
Yeah. Gage is the fastest any percent character, and she's really broken.
So right here, as he's grabbing the pistol that Knuckle Dragger dropped. That pistol is pretty good. It'll help him for the next little bit of the early game. And then he saves quit immediately, loads back in, and saves quit again. What that does is it just progresses Claptrap up the hill at the end of the map here, and that saves like 15 seconds in total. It basically turns a minute of waiting into 45 seconds of running. Oh, yeah, in real time it saves it too, yeah.
Just more of that optimization to get Claptrap to move faster.
Yeah, this is one of the newer tricks that we've found. Oh, you can do the jump?
I don't know the jump.
Okay, so there's a jump there that it doesn't save any time, but if you miss it, it loses time. So it's like the only form of swag strats in the room.
Extreme swag strats.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I go for it every round.
Perks of being an artificial intelligence. I'm networked into almost everything on this planet. It's a long way to Sanctuary.
Let's see if Claptrap screws
Please
me
take
over
whatever
a
you
little bit
need
here.
for the journey ahead.
My brain is so poisoned from running any percent
To pick up
from running co-op that I was just like, why isn't the echo skipping here?
I thought you were gonna say picking up the ammo instead of the gun.
Oh, I mean that too, but
So right there, Claptrap has an RNG line of dialogue. It could be one of like 6 or 7 dialogue lines, I think, or he could not say anything at all. And you have to make sure you're not moving forward at the start of the map there. Otherwise he slows down quite a bit.
There's that dead enemy. That's 5 enemy inside of a dead enemy.
Handsome Jack here, offering $1 million to whoever brings me the head of the Vault Hunter.
Oh, and right here is the first instance, or I guess the second instance now, of a glitch called merging. So basically, if you are holding one gun and you swap to another, and then during the swap animation, you open your inventory and swap the location of them in your inventory, you'll basically be holding both guns at the same time, and thus you have the properties of both guns. And for sniper rifles, one of the properties is 100% critical hit damage. And so ZZ is going to be doing that throughout the entirety of the run to gain a bit more crit damage, just do a bit more DPS. And this fight has all set spawns. These guys are memorized.
Yeah. Yeah, the first like 10 minutes of this game is really following what the game designs for you to do, and then the rest of it just pretty much ignores it.
Pretty much, I'd say we ignore it a good amount. There's a lot of stuff we do in this game that we're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And for people confused about all the glitches, we will, after some more of them start appearing, we have a Google Doc that has a lot of them listed out. So if you're confused, like, why does he keep opening his menu, then that'll be able to tell you.
Why do you keep safe quitting all the time?
Yeah.
Claptrap's annoying. I really like Claptrap, which makes running the pre-sequel so much more bearable.
Yeah.
How do you like Claptrap?
I like Claptrap. I think he's fine.
Oh, he's the worst.
He's the worst because he loses time, but like as a casual player of this game that just enjoys the series in general.
Yeah. He also has the best glitch in the TPS. So.
TPS doesn't count. It's not a game.
Mean. Let's stand this TPS slander. This is a great game.
Yeah, and so a lot of the time for save quits, he's just waiting for the checkbox to appear. And actually that only happens a few more times. And then we just stop save quitting because it's faster to not.
Yeah, so you saw a little bit earlier I was killing some of the flying enemies, the rack, because I want to hit level 4 specifically at a very exact point. So just trying to kill as many enemies as possible to reach that threshold. I just about have enough XP to get to that point. So just a couple more kills and I'll be there.
And you want to make sure you don't go over here, because when you level up in this game, you get a level up bonus, so you do 100% damage for 30 seconds. And you can only really route that in at one point up here pretty soon, but there are a couple points where you can kind of route it a little bit. You can get it like some runs, but not all.
We can do it. We can do it for the second arm.
Oh, second boom too.
We routed in for boom boom and that's it. So yeah, we have a little bit more of just escort Claptrap to his trigger, kill some enemies, escort Claptrap again.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the Claptrap triggers for this are pretty. Like I'm not gonna say they're as close to where he's standing on top of him, but it's you have to be pretty close to Claptrap to actually get him to walk forward. So if it looks like he's kind of milking it for the funny, he's not. You actually do have to be pretty close.
Yeah, there was one
And then
part
sometimes you can just run ahead like right here.
Yeah, there was one part where I overshot the trigger just so that I could cut his dialogue out. Oh, that's a fire sniper. A fire pistol. I don't like that. Oh, I really don't like that.
You'll be alright.
I think so.
Yeah, the dude's corroded.
Yeah. There's also a damage up after you get up from second wind, but it's not as useful as the level up bonus because you have to go down and then get up off second wind, and that's not always reliable to do. I think it's what, 50%?
Yeah, it's not as significant, and it's not as consistent, or not as easy to do. So
Yeah.
the reason that I did that entire fight from that really awkward spot, I missed it, which is
This is fine.
fine. That's why I kept an extra grenade. That's not fine.
Scroll jump.
Um,
I'll get bully among piles and grenade jump back out. That's what I do.
yeah. At this point, I'm just gonna take the intended route. Just wait for Claptrap. Be a little slower.
So usually you go up slot spot and grenade jump into the fight early. But I missed it, so
Yeah, not a
doing
huge
the
deal.
intended route. Yeah, it doesn't take that much time.
There's also a couple enemies here that stuck really bad, but if you just grenade jump over them, yeah.
So that's the level up bonus that the level up that we're specifically routing around. We get 100 experience for finding different locations. So we make sure that we nice.
Nice, good
We
shot.
make sure we get just enough XP so that 100 experience from discovering a location gets us level up.
Yeah, so you saw he took a shot right there before the door actually opened. Yeah, so there's the double damage bonus. You can just kind of one shot boom boom. Supposed to be a little bit of a harder fight, but a merged sniper and everything just makes it pretty easy.
Yeah, another thing that I've been doing, kind of minor but really important, is that a double shot glitch. Normally, you can see whenever I'm firing normally, the sniper has a kind of slow fire rate, but by doing a certain set of inputs, we can animation cancel where's my badass? We can animation cancel the reload so that we can fire a second shot immediately. There we are. So back to that experience route. Those two badass enemies are guaranteed spawns, and they have more health, they do more damage, but they give a little bit more experience. So I wanted to make sure to kill those before moving on.
Shut up! Okay. So, Claptrap's got a new friend,
So
huh? I gotta say,
here we kind of ignore Claptrap a little bit. We still have to get to Claptrap, but we have this little area where we don't have to baby him throughout these upcoming sections. So we're free to do a couple of grenade jumps, a couple of skips to get to him faster. So we're fine, right?
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Oh. I was like, you got the jump on.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got-
enemies' bullets can bump you in midair. And it looks like that's what happened there.
Yeah. They also, if you get shot, then the game thinks that you're in the air, and if you're in the air, you can't jump because you're already in the air. So one thing that you really have to worry about during that grenade jump is enemies firing at you could just completely eat your jump input. So no big deal. You just have to
Yeah,
take
there's
the long
a-
way around.
There's a few places where getting shot can be very, very annoying when you're trying to do grenade jumps.
Right there, being
My-
prime example
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Luckily, it's not as bad in Bloodshot.
Oh no, it's just as bad in Bloodshot.
Well, Bloodshot, you can kind of control the spawn a little bit. At least you have like a short window. But yeah, it's so bad.
This is fine.
These enemies are really giving you the business today.
Yeah, if you hit the grenade jump, you land right around over there. So you can just take a direct shot here without having to face any enemies. If you don't hit it, you have to go around and run into a handful of enemies that can lower your health. So now we're back to the good old escort Claptrap mission. Save him.
Yeah, this entire mission is escorting, wave fight, escort, wave fight.
Yeah. You do actually have to kill all these enemies, otherwise Claptrap won't move forward.
And if you kill them too quickly, you soft lock.
Yep.
But that doesn't happen in person.
Yeah, in the geared speedruns of this, it's very, very easy to cause a handful of soft locks, but in New Game, we don't have to worry about them as much. So here we're going to be doing a little bit more XP management. We have a lot of downtime, again, waiting for Claptrap. So we can let out Deathtrap here. Deathtrap is Gage's action skill. Every Vault Hunter has a specific action skill tied to their character, tied to their personality, lore, etc. And in our case, Deathtrap's a massive robot that flies around and kills enemies for us. So we use it a lot early game just for passive XP gathering. We're over here getting to the next boss fight area, and Deathtrap's just over there getting us some XP. So really, really helpful there.
Yeah, while we're waiting, do you want to explain drop reloading?
Yeah, I've been doing
Doing
it. I've been doing it a lot, and it's really, really minor. Every weapon that's either in your inventory or on the ground automatically has a full clip. So if I ever run out of ammo in any of my weapons, then I can just drop my weapon, and then it'll automatically refill it. So I just pick it up and instant reloads. So we use it a lot, just casually and passively throughout the run to skip the really long reload animations.
until the big glitch, and then
Until the big glitch,
and then we don't
it's
have
not
to worry
useful
about
in
that.
the slightest. So this
So
is
this is
Captain
Captain
Flint.
Flint. He's every casual player's least favorite enemy when they first start.
Whoa.
He's quite difficult when you're first starting out.
He is.
But if you get right up in his face, you can just kind of shoot him in the mouth and he falls over.
He is resistant to fire, and you only get fire this early in the game. So you're like, oh, I should use fire against him. Then it doesn't work.
And
Yeah,
he can only be
judging
crit
by
from
all of
either
the fire.
behind.
Yeah.
Can only be crit from either behind or like a very small like slit through his mask. It's no fun.
Yeah. Luckily, it's very easy to position. As easy did, and just shoot him through the mask. So this is just a cleanup. This is, again, you have to push Claptrap forward.
You don't have to.
There is
I
a-
went for a trick, which I didn't get. It's about 50-50 whether you can actually get it. Even with the right setup, sometimes it just doesn't work. That instantly makes Claptrap move. He has a trigger coming up right here. That those enemies that came out after I killed Flint can hit the trigger for Claptrap, which just make him move automatically. I had the right setup, but unfortunately they just didn't hit the trigger.
I was gonna say I'm surprised you go for Flint Manip in solo, but I guess that makes sense because it would be way faster.
Yeah,
Go
we
for it
go
in
for it in
co-op,
co-op
too.
too.
I mean, when I was running, we went for it, but we didn't. We thought it was like maybe 5 seconds faster.
The thing is, with the new route, you don't have the green sniper, so
Oh, okay.
it's slower to kill. So because of it, it's a lot more worth it to go for it.
And we also do boom boom kills after Flint now, so you're lower level as well.
Now
So
that too.
it's just a lot harder.
So we're right on cue with what I just said. So we hit our first level checkpoint at Boom Boom. Our next level checkpoint, we want to hit level 8 at a very specific level. And if we just blitz the story from here on out, then we won't hit it at the right time. So we need to gather a little bit extra experience. Luckily, killing Boom Boom is really, really quick. And they give a lot of experience. So after we finish in Flint, we can just do a little bit of grenade jumping, get into the arena again, and then kill Boom Boom 1 or 2 more times. And get the extra experience we need.
Yeah, so that was a drop reload right there. You can kind of see it on screen. It happens really fast because runners just. I don't know about other runners, but I had my drop macro to Q and my pickup on E.
Yep,
So if you
precisely
just
that.
roll, if you just roll Q and E really quick, then he just drops and picks up the weapon immediately. And it looks really weird from a first-person perspective, but yeah, that's what he's doing.
It sounds, you can hear it. You can probably hear it too. The keyboard mashing.
yeah.
They get the inputs as fast as possible, really. So here's the other example of a level bonus. We kill Little Boom, and then it just makes the subsequent kill on Big Boom and Big Bertha really, really fast, especially compared to that first one.
Oh, and here ZZ's rebinding such that his interact key is on mouse wheel down. And I guess we'll explain that when we get to it.
Yep.
But that'll have some fun.
Spamming.
in a bit.
Yeah, so all runners of this game have what's called a free scroll mouse, which is a mouse that has 2 scroll types. One is just the normal, and the other is you click a button and there's no resistance on it, so you just scroll and it goes for like 15 seconds. And so ZZ's going to use that to interact with something a lot of times very quickly.
Violent and dangerous place.
It also makes some really fun sounds like this.
Damn it.
You guys couldn't hear. But it's a very
imagine.
pleasant sound.
Yeah, it's no
He's a savant making
The sounds of Borderlands speedrun.
the station to prevent the bandits from
So throughout this area, ZZ is going to be killing as many enemies as possible to get as high as level as possible.
attach
It's one of the hardest things in this route is just making sure you have enough XP. Killing as many enemies as possible without slowing down.
catch a ride, and I'll get you a free car.
And especially with this low-level sniper, it can be quite difficult.
If we're judging by the name of the show, this would be we're having.
Executing
That's
phase
a
shift.
lovely sound. This would be this would be the part of the run we're having. An actual aimbot would be very, very helpful. Unfortunately, we
Wait a moment
do not
while
have
I
that.
book the
So.
catch a ride.
downsides of Scroll Interact is you get so used to having your usual interact key that sometimes you just kind of don't interact. Sometimes you just don't interact whenever you want to, because you're just pressing the wrong button.
The cars in this game can be a little finicky to drive. It's one of those that once you do it often enough, like you just start to feel out, okay, if I drive this certain way, then my car won't flip over. But when you're learning initially this run or playing this game, you might hate the cars, and that's fine.
It's very justified.
Yeah.
Even after all this running, I still hate the cars, and still don't know the entire and everything felt out. So we're finally free from Claptrap. We're just trying to get to Sanctuary. Sanctuary is the main hub city in the game. We're going to be in Sanctuary a lot once we get there. Just needing to listen to Roland. We got our first introduction of the Vault Hunters from Borderlands 1. Roland was the commando in Borderlands 1, so it's a common theme as we progress in the run. We'll be meeting the Borderlands 1 Vault Hunters.
Yeah.
Throughout the run.
And a big thing that you're going to start hearing in this section, and in a few later sections, but it's really obvious here, is dialogue priority. Certain objectives in this game are triggered or completed when certain lines of dialogue play, not necessarily when the actual checkbox pops up. Ooh, no badasses. Nice, good luck.
Yeah, I was very terrified of it. So that is scroll interacting. If you talk to certain NPCs multiple times in one game tick, then it will just skip all of their dialogue. So normally, Cooper Reese right there has a really long dialogue line, but since we're on scroll interact, he just instantly completes his objective.
Yeah, and you might think, oh wow, you can just scroll interact on everybody and skip all their dialogue all the time. But fortunately, there's like a very specific set of conditions that have to be met. And it's like they have to have like multiple interact triggers and multiple lines of dialogue. It's very weird. So you can only use it in
Very confusing.
very few positions.
Yeah.
So just easily simplified to some NPCs you can do it on.
Some NPCs some of the time.
Yeah. So here's Sanctuary. Almost. We're still outside of Sanctuary. And we'll have a couple more interactions coming up of scroll interact being really broken. Not right here, unfortunately. You have to listen through this dialogue.
So much looking forward to the bad Marlon.
I'm glad you are. It's the funnest and the dumbest at the same time.
Yeah. So past here, ZZ's going to start looking for a specific gun. He's going to be looking for a Jacobs shotgun, hopefully with 2 or more barrels.
Not hopefully, it has to be.
Okay, yes, has to be. I don't know. I've done runs with. We're not going to mention. Anyway, he's looking for
solo can.
Yeah, he's looking for a gun with 2 or more barrels because it's the highest DPS gun in the game. You might say, well, Amy, it's not the highest DPS gun in the game because it only has 2 shots. Well, there's ways around.
We'll get to that. Spoiling a little.
Also, right there, ZZ capped his FPS to 30. So this game is a console port, and so it was designed to run on the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and that's designed to run at 30 FPS. And if you play at higher FPS, the collision breaks sometimes, and so Lieutenant Jessup there doesn't move right away if you're on high FPS. So we capped to 30 to make him move immediately. And there's other points in the run where you need to be on 30 FPS for specific things to work, and it's just a common joke we have in the community where we're always laughing about the game.
It's the worst.
FPSs.
I got so mad when that was discovered. Because, like, Shock and I always had problems with Jessup moving, and...
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, apologies for anyone who actually cares about frame rate. That's the only time we do it in the solo run. But it's one that it's actually worth to cap because he just takes so long if you're not on 30 FPS. Otherwise.
And co-op runs. I'm the host for when we do co-op runs, and so I'm always switching my FPS at various points throughout the run. It's a huge pain.
Need an FPS bind, I'm telling you.
Just
You can do it in the
cheated.
video. Sure, that's cheating.
I only accept iridium. Cash is for clowns, boy.
So, a couple more safe quits, just skipping dialogue. We're also running into parts where we're safe quitting, not just to skip dialogue, but to warp to certain points. Once we picked up the power core over there at Scooter, safe quitting just put us right in front of the next objective that we had to go to. So,
Hey, soldier. You hearing this?
just progressing the story right here. Ignore what's in my bank. It's not important right now, and it didn't exist.
I don't think that gun had a name. Yeah.
Those are backups.
It didn't exist, and we're not gonna have to use it. So, we talked a lot earlier about how strong scroll interact is. Unfortunately, this is the one part in the game where you actually cannot be on scroll interact, because coming up we have to revive an NPC. And to do so, you have to hold your interact key, and whenever we're on scroll interact, we cannot hold. We can just interact a lot. So, right there, we swap back to your normal interact so that we can do that quick revive.
So people are curious, why not keep it at 30 for the entire run?
Because it's awful and no one wants to do that.
Yeah, one, 30 FPS is just no fun. And second, your FPS or your fire rate is kind of dependent upon your FPS. Like if your FPS goes below a certain point, your fire rate is capped. And that's quite annoying later, as we see.
And it's
also-
not all NPCs, it's not all AI. Just in the certain parts where you want it and where it's faster, you want to swap to it. Otherwise, you're just losing time.
Headshot bandit clan seems to be attacking the Firehawk's lair.
One thing I used to do before I got a new CPU was I used to just be able to like swap weapons really quickly, and that would lower my FPS enough so I didn't have to cap. But I can't do that anymore. So I have to lose time to cap.
If we want to get really into frame rate being tied to performance, higher frame rates in this game in co-op actually make the outpost character's experience far worse.
Yeah.
It's really
Which
fun.
we didn't find out until like way after Shock and I were done running.
We didn't find out until Unjust got his better computer.
Yeah.
And like every run we got after his new CPU, we just couldn't pick up our weapons because they wouldn't spawn.
Yep.
There's so much desync.
So,
This gun right here
the
he's
bat-
picking up is a guaranteed spawn every single time you enter Frostburn, called the Lasco. And what it's really good at is it takes one bullet and shoots two. And surprisingly, that's really good. So he's gonna use
That's
that
the whole
for-
reason we want to be level 8 here as well. Because
Yeah.
the lowest level that gun can spawn is level 8.
So it was a little sloppy in my XP gathering. So ideally I'm level 8 right there. But, not a huge deal. I can kill some enemies down here and get to level 8 to be able to equip it. The shotgun isn't the best for XP gathering. Shotguns are it's just a mission reward that I got from the story quest. And you can get some really good shotguns to use for this area, and I got one that's not the best, unfortunately.
Also, you'll notice that he's not drop loading here, and that's because he's merged. So whenever you have a gun merged, if you ever re-equip that gun, like have it in your hands, the merge will undo itself. And so by dropping his shotgun, he would have equipped a sniper or his pistol, which he has merged, and thus lose the crit damage from it. So you can't do that in this section.
This is where being level 8 would be really helpful. Because I want to kill this badass for the experience, but the shotgun is not great. So
Perfect.
level 8, and you'll be able to see just how much of a difference level 8.
Yeah.
Well, right now you are doing double damage, but yeah, it's still pretty good.
Tails.
Let me explain something. Even if you
Tails.
do rescue roll in front of this fire,
But even once that double damage wears off, I'll just be able to kill things so much faster, which is really important for there's a big mobbing area and a big wave fight area coming up soon. That being able to kill things really quickly is really helpful.
Oh, I never explained grenade jumping either.
We've been showing it
Grenade
off,
jumping
but
is
we didn't really fully
fairly
explain it.
intuitive.
unmodded grenades make you go farther than modded grenades. All grenades push you, but unmodded makes you go farther.
The Firehawk's hideout.
So we never have a grenade mod equipped throughout the run.
Yeah. Even if
Which
you
is
get a
a shame,
bonus
right?
package off Boom Boom.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, okay, you
Actually,
would
if
like
you get a bonus
specifically
pack-
equip it, but
yeah, for like this section.
And then we mentioned with the drop reloading, all the weapons in your backpack have a full clip. So sniper, that's really helpful.
Let that happen to you.
So just to get back to killing as soon as possible, I just put the weapon in my bag and then re-equipped it.
yeah.
And that also preserves the merges. So.
Yep. That is
Well,
what-
also, I really hope people like seeing the reload prompt on screen because Gage can never actually manually reload. You'll see right above his experience bar, it says times 15 right now. That's a skill Gage has called Anarchy, which makes her bullets less accurate, but do way more damage. And that's a skill that's extremely necessary for the run because it stacks up to, I think it's 150 at base level.
yeah. Base level 150, and then with later skills, you can stack it up to like 400, I think.
Yeah,
We don't go into those skills. 150 is plenty for what we need.
yeah. And that's 375% more damage, something like that. It's been a while since I did the math.
It's a lot of damage. I've never done the math.
Yeah.
I just know it's
You
a
get
lot.
you get 1.75% damage per stack. So with 150 stacks, it's 262% damage.
Okay.
Long story, lots of
So quite a bit.
Yeah, and that combined with some other things. Essentially, if Gage manually reloads her gun instead of just running out of bullets in the clip, that makes all of the anarchy stacks go away, and that's bad
I should have some in one of my
because you need the
strong
damage
boxes.
up.
So that was the reload that I was talking about before.
Yeah, that's the
In that
Appreciate
you can't be on scroll interact, but we want to swap to it immediately because that's another instance where we can talk to Lilith really quickly, multiple times in a second, and it skips like a minute of dialogue and animations.
Yeah, this is the most significant area where scroll interact plays a role.
And the
It's like
advice
50
that
seconds total. isn't
yeah,
it?
the advice we give to runners for if you're having trouble hitting it, the advice is literally just scroll harder. And I hate that that's literally the advice.
Yeah,
Everyone is struggling with getting this consistently, and it's the only fix we've seen is scroll harder.
I always feel bad for Death Trap because past about now he stops becoming useful and is just like a distraction for enemies.
Like he becomes crowd control later, yeah.
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 But that's still very useful for like Saturn specifically.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just the look at my robot, pay attention to my robot, and not me.
Exactly. Yeah, this is really the last area where you can like stay up with enemies because Death Trap is the same level as us. And as we get later on in the run, we're going to be very, very underleveled. So Death Trap's just not going to be able to do the damage that we have because he's not going to have any of the glitches that we have.
Yeah. He also can't do the health, or can't deal with it because he has an equivalent amount of health for whatever level we're at, which when we're massively under level is not a lot compared to what the
Effectively
enemies are
zero.
hitting. Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically gets one shot.
That was
Game.
fun.
Yeah, that's the stuff. Give it.
So
So that was the wave. ZZ's gonna save quit to get back to the start, and you forgot to rebind.
nope. I am intentionally still bound to this.
Oh right, new strats. I forgot about
Second
that. Yeah.
sanctuary. Be careful. The bloodshots of
I was gonna say that was the
Kandahar
last
are
use
there.
of scroll interact in the
You'll
run,
want to get
but
a vehicle to soak up some bullets for you.
strats.
So doing a little bit of shopping here, selling the items. Money is very, very tight throughout the run. We need to buy a handful of items later on in order to finish the run. And doing so costs money, so any item that I can find on the ground I want to pick up and sell so that I can be able to afford some of those items. And if I get a really good item, be able to afford that as well. So I also bought an upgraded shield. The shield that I was using that entire time is just the starter shield. I'm level 9, that shield was level 3.
Nobody seems to be around.
So
Just
an upgraded shield, and this one's gonna last us a similar amount of length. It's gonna last us until level 15. So we want a really good one. Turtle ones are some of the better ones that you can get at this point in the game. So just grab a white one that doesn't cost too much.
I promised someone in chat the next time that we were in a car, I would explain quick car exit. Basically, the way it works is if your car is not flat on the ground and you exit the car, you just immediately get out of the car. There's no animation for it.
Yep. The game, you can see it in Borderlands 1. They don't have that type of animation cancel. They will, your character, if your wheels aren't on the ground, will just float in midair as it's trying to play the animation of you getting out of the car.
Oh, what's in the box?
So they were like, we're not gonna make the characters float this time, so we're just gonna teleport you out of the car.
Wait, do you use Glenn's head in solo?
You've always used it in solo, depending on the setup that you have.
Okay.
There's different math that you can do. Effectively, it's I don't have a sniper, so I'm gonna use some sort of crit damage.
Yeah.
But there's certain math that you can do where guns is actually worth it.
If you have exactly one crit accessory, sniper points is worth.
And then I think 2 Jacobs and 1 non-Jacobs it's worth.
Yeah, I don't know for Jacob. That's too much math.
I promise this is all math that the community has figured out, and it just boils down to get this. I promise it's faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like a chart somewhere that someone's.
There's a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. I think it's pinned somewhere. So what we're doing story-wise, I promise there's a story. Even though we're not really paying too much attention to it. We're trying to rescue Roland, and we think these bandits have it, but they won't let us in the front door because we're not bandits. So we're trying to disguise ourselves as bandits by stealing one of their cars, essentially. So kill these enemies, get their car parts, and we have a handy little bandit car right there that we can repair it with. So.
Got your car ready up there. Let's make some modifications. You'll be good to go.
One
There's
tiny
more example.
optimization
Sorry.
right there is
Looking good.
if you noticed, the Ellie's dialogue was playing a little bit as I was entering my driving in this game.
Could have been bad.
Ellie had a dialogue line, and as I entered my inventory, her lines still played for a little bit as I was entering it. So generally, if there's any menuing I have to do in my inventory, I want to do it while some character's talking. Oh. You were saying it.
Oh yeah, that was that was merging right there. That was just him merging 2 snipers onto his gun. There's a form of visual merging that you can do where you can actually see all these glitches playing out. But that's
I could have gotten it right there actually. Don't kill me.
If you know the TPS run, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It does it in TPS, where you actually see all the guns at once.
Yeah, I think all I had to do was just get in the back of that car, and I think it would have visually merged it. And you would have seen essentially we tricked the game into thinking I'm holding 2 snipers and all the weapons that I've equipped. The game thinks I'm holding them at the same time, which gives me increased crit damage because snipers have increased crit. So this is bad mod. This is a deceptively really difficult fight. This is the point where we start to get really underleveled. We don't really have any of the glitches that increase our. He does not care about death shot. Here. Okay.
nice.
So that's a.
Ooh, Doll Grenadier. That's worth a lot of money.
Okay. So this is what Amy was talking about.
Yeah. So normally you hit E on that once, and there's like a 10-second cutscene of like the draw. Well, not really cutscene, but the drawbridge lowers. The drawbridge lowers. But if you just spin the wheel faster, it comes down
spins faster.
Yeah.
Roland should be around here
Everyone has a good
somewhere.
chuckle about that.
Handle yourself, but
That's probably one of the more recent finds. That,
The most recent, I think, actually.
oh,
Now it's time to
was it
farm
kinda
bad
the-
law.
Yeah. So we hit the second XP check mark for the Let's Go. Now we need to hit level 10 before we cannot complete the run unless we hit level 10 at this exact moment. Because there's a specific weapon that we need, a Vladoff rocket launcher, and rocket launchers only spawn at level 10. So we're gonna farm a vendor that's level 10 to get the launcher, but the only way to get a level 10 vendor is to be level 10 and enter Sanctuary. So if you guys want to start kind of explaining why we need a Vladoff rocket launcher.
Well, first, real quick, this is a very carefully designed setup, and I'm not joking. This is actually pretty careful. If you mess
Well-
it up, he can really get away from you. But it's just a setup to grenade launch Badmaw into a pit and kill him immediately.
You
The
say it's a
setup
very
that
precise setup, but I think everyone has a different setup for
Everyone-
this.
No. Everyone uses a completely different setup that is even more precise. For some reason, it never works for me. So I use a setup that is far less precise, but far more consistent for me, and I don't know why it's more consistent.
Yeah.
But it
I don't
works.
know. I go through like phases. Like one will work for like a few months for me, and then I'll have issues with it, so I'll switch it.
And-
It's really finicky.
And Just, you want to talk about what we're about to do?
Okay, so this is every runner's favorite split. This is RNG because that's all it is. You need
You thought
a
RNG
flat-out
was
rocket.
previously. RNG is actually right now.
So we need a Vladoff rocket launcher and a Jacob shotgun. That's a really good one too.
Yeah, it's a light, which isn't the best, but the parts are really good.
It's got Tor grip pipe stock. It's really good. It's perfect parted for a white one. Anyway, so you need a Vladoff rocket launcher because Vladoff rocket launchers have an ammo saving property in this game where the second shot of every mag and then the third shot after that, every third shot after that.
Oh
Wow,
wow.
good on you.
Who needs backups?
Well,
Yeah.
you should have bought a sniper there too.
Yeah.
Just to have 3. Because you got a lot of... Anyway, so Vladoff rocket launchers have an ammo saving property. So if you get onto the free shot of the Vladoff rocket launcher, and then you swap away and swap back, the free shot will be transferred onto your character. And if you do this multiple times, then you get multiple free shots. And so Jacob's shotgun, the coach gun ZZ has, consumes 2 ammo per shot. So it'll stack 2 shots of the Vladoff free shot, and thus you can fire infinitely. And then, if you bind shoot to
You bind it all.
mouse wheel down with a free scroll wheel mouse, you can have some fun, as ZZ will demonstrate.
I'm posting an FAQ in the chat. This is written by members of the community. And here we go. This is the rest. This is the run.
This is the quintessential Borderlands 2 glitch. This is what attracts everyone to the run.
This is specifically what attracted me to the run. I saw this glitch and it was just like, I just want to do this. I don't care about running the game.
So if you were wondering why I got Borderlands 2 as the first show for AIMBOT, this is the reason. Gage has an AIMBOT skill where if she misses, there's a 50% chance for her bullets to ricochet and hit enemies.
So here we go to bounds because there's no actual triggers throughout this entire area. So we just go out of bounds and go straight to the end. There's a slightly faster way to do this called super skip.
Which is what I went for. I just missed the grenade jump. And missing
Yeah,
any part of
there's
it
a-
means you can't get it. But there's
Yeah,
a
you need
slightly
4
slower way.
grenades, and you can only have 4 grenades at this point.
Yeah, and this is actually a pretty scary area. You can fall into an out of bounds area you're not supposed to get into yet and soft lock yourself. But luckily, you didn't do that.
It's a matter of just
can also-
terrain doesn't look the way it's supposed to, so it's just finding out what's actually solid and what's fake solid. So here we have Roland. Ignore the writing on the wall behind him. Roland is fine. He's gonna be fine. This is the second introduction that we have to the Borderlands 1 Vault Hunters. We had Lilith earlier, the Firehawk. Now we have Roland, who we heard earlier, but this is our first time actually meeting him.
It will not. Like, I did not notice that text behind him for like 2 years when I was playing the game. And then someone
didn't-
pointed out to me, I was like, whoa, it is there.
I didn't notice it until the All Quests GDQ run.
Yeah, because someone pointed it out to me like a month before that run. That's why I pointed it out.
That's that. Now let's see about getting out of here.
So the benefits of Super Skip, despite being while also being a more direct path, we end up on the other side of this jail cell, so we can just start heading to the next area before we're technically supposed to be able to.
Yeah, super skip in total saves like about a minute, maybe a little less. So it's quite,
Even more,
quite useful.
even more if you go for it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's really runners should really only be going for it whenever they're getting world record type of runs. Up until that point, you don't need to be going for it. I have a, all things considered, I have a decent PB, and it doesn't even have super skip in it. So it's a really fun, cool trick to hit, but hitting it's not the worst. Missing it's not the worst thing.
Doesn't your PB have you missing super skip, save quitting, going for it again, and missing, and then doing one more round?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you can get a very good time without super skip.
Yeah, both of these runners are within the 2-hour boundary for this run, which is really, really fast. Like, getting sub 2, I think like 3 people have a sub 2 right now. And
Or I'm just the fourth.
Okay, right. Yeah, it's getting close to 2 hours for a 90% run is really, really hard.
Yeah, so it was a lot of hair pulling out. Get my sub 2.
You got it. That's what matters. So this is a really interesting part of the run. We're very underleveled still. 3 levels is whenever they're all sweethearts. Wow. 3 levels underleveled is when enemies start having that little skull next to their names, which indicates that the enemies have will take less damage than usual. They have a bit of damage reduction. And so we're still underleveled, but we're at the point where we have this super overpowered glitch that we can just obliterate enemies regardless of it. So we're kind of just a walking killing machine. That's a boss, and he just didn't stand a chance.
You're a real glass cannon in this run. Like,
Yes.
if you can hit the enemies before they hit you, they die. But if they get the drop on you in any
Precisely.
way, you're done.
At this point, it's not as drastic as that, but later on that's definitely the case. So there's a wave fight that happens after you kill the warden there. You don't have to do it. I hit this fast travel station through the wall, and in doing so, I can just save quit and skip a fight. So coming up here, we're actually going to start setting up the biggest source of dialogue skipping in this game.
Handsome Jack.
I just picked up side quests from Lilith. This is an 90% run, so we're not going to be doing any of the side quests, but the side quests are really important in terms of skipping dialogue. If you guys want to start explaining that.
Okay, so the way dialogue works in this game is on a priority system. So some dialogue lines have a very high priority, and thus will play over everything else, and some of them very low, unless they will get skipped by a lot of other dialogue lines. And so one of the ways you can take advantage of this is by starting a main quest. So whenever you start a quest, there's a very high line of priority dialogue. And if you pick up side quests under the main quest dialogue, you will preserve the side quest dialogue in your backpack, so you can play it at any time. And when you play this, these side quests also have very high priority, and thus will skip a lot of dialogue. I don't know how well of an explanation that was, but basically you can use this at various points throughout the runs, and it saves, how much time in total? Like 7 minutes, 6 minutes?
It saves a
something like that?
very good chunk of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, so funnily enough, I know a little bit more about it just because after one Borderlands run I did on GDQ, Anthony Birch contacted me and told me about this. He said that the reason specifically echo dialogue is so high in priority is because they were testing it to make sure it played and then forgot to unset the priority.
Oh my god. That's incredible.
And then
That,
yeah.
that little thing saves so much time, especially in co-op.
I don't know if it's the same for. It's probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same for Quest.
I'd be willing to
The little
bet
things is-
that their priority system has that side quests are a higher priority than the main quest in terms of playing, because you hear the main quest so much. But again,
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. All I know is about Echo specifically.
Yeah, so all of the side quests have a little introduction. The character tells you, I want you to do this because this person is trying to kill me or whatever. But we just store that until we actually want to use it and want it to skip dialogue. So it'll be coming up soon. But that's why we picked up side quests in the base 80% run.
Come on in. You're missing the fun.
That hurt more than that. It was a good level up.
All right.
That was well timed.
It was very well timed.
Also,
hit
at the start of this area, the start of this area, ZZ set the Varkits on fire and then save quit, and that skips Mordecai's cutscene, so you don't actually have to watch it. So that saves not that much time, obviously, because you have to run back through, but a few seconds.
Yeah, continuing the trend of meeting the Bill 3, the Bill 1 Vault Hunters. We met Mordecai. We just skipped meeting Mordecai. So we met him, I promise. We'll be seeing him soon. Or hearing him, at least. So this is another section where we want to try and kill as much as possible while we're still overpowered relative to the enemies that we're fighting. Like, that enemy continuing to have this skull next to his name, so we could kill it really quickly with all the glitches. Because there's a more of a softer level limit that's coming up. We want to hit level 12 eventually. Like I said, a much softer level cap. Eventually,
It's really
the
nice
next
if you hit
couple areas.
12.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice if you hit 12 on time, but it's not a necessity like the other level.
Yeah, 10 is a real hard cap because you want to have infinite ammo as soon as possible, and then 12 just makes the run a lot more comfy.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
So any enemies that are in the way, I'm trying to stop and kill so that I can try and hit that level 12. Again, don't hit it, it's not the worst. That death was intentional, I promise. There's a save point closer to where AIMBOT didn't screw me over. This is the save point that I'm going to spawn at is just much closer to where I need to be. So there's a very convenient barrel that kills us so we can die quickly. Get some grenades in the process as well. And get back to
Yeah, there's a few
faster.
death warps throughout the run. We did one earlier, 3 Hornets Divide.
Yep.
And there's one more left in the run at pump station.
There's one coming up.
That's it, I think.
Ooh.
Oh, right, at the start of the line.
What's the other one that you're thinking of? Oh, the
Pump station.
yeah.
I got awesome. Just a secco. This gonna be good.
Also picking up any weapons I can find. This is a really important part to get some money because
You have a lot of money.
I have a lot of money.
Yeah. You need
Really
like,
like
what,
Like over 3K.
3K?
I'm a little teapot.
Or
Around 3K, yeah. Like
Yeah, that
an
was-
amp is like 1,500 and the shotgun's about the same. So depending on what shotgun you get, of course.
Yeah. Ideally I get higher priority ones so they cost more. So benefit of just having a lot of money, you can buy better weapons. So here's the first instance of the dialogue skip.
Let's get to work.
So I'm gonna play the side quest, which means I can pick these up right away. And like Andra said, that's really high priority, so I'm able to pick up another quest underneath it in his quest and store it for a little bit later to use. Seems really, really minor, but if you've played any of the Borderlands games, you'll know how much dialogue there is that you have to sit through, so not having to sit through it saves so much time throughout the course of the run.
Yeah, I actually do quest skips in casual just because I don't want to listen to the dialogue.
yeah,
Here's another one.
I wish I could remember how exactly we started like implementing quest skips. Because I knew we all knew about it, but like nobody was really actively thinking about it.
Well, quest skips like started to be used right as even Shock stopped doing runs, right?
Shock planned out a bunch of them in the last like year or so that we were doing runs. And obviously it's been refined and updated since then. But I there are some places like I don't know. I'm trying to remember all the history. You know why we weren't using quest skips before, and why we started using them. And I think it was because of an accident in 1,000 Cuts when we were going through that and just trying to figure out how to skip dialogue.
All I remember is the Warden one, just skipping everything.
Yeah,
That's the only history that I really know.
that one was okay.
Oh.
That one I remember the history of because that was me making an accident.
Oh dear.
I played the wrong quest.
And it ended up being
And
fast.
we use it, yeah. We still use it to this day because of that mistake. But this is the boss.
Yeah,
Yeah.
boss in sarcastic quotations. Also, at the start of this area, ZZ downed himself and then bled out. You have to be very careful when you do that because if you move like at all forward, like even one step, you'll hit the save station there, and then you'll spawn like 5 feet in front of you instead of at the end of the area like you want. So yeah, you just do a death warp, you spawn at the end of the area, saves like a minute of running through the area. Should have kept one of the shields.
Sold the anarchist.
I already have an
Oh,
anarchist.
anarchists are bad. I mean,
Well, still hurts.
I already have an anarchist. I don't have another one.
that's
Can't
it.
even equip it yet.
I don't know why. Okay, so you hit that little bar there. I've never hit that when I do runs.
I hit that all the time.
Yeah, everyone says that, but I've never had issues with it.
I always had to curve right and then hook left
Yeah.
around it. It's just one of those like snafus that you learn about.
Playing on 30 FPS would probably get rid of that.
Probably.
Probably.
Do this whole
so-
run at 12 FPS.
Tell you that little secret.
No. I did an entire run at 30 FPS just to see what would happen, and it was awful. So here's actually one of a really interesting dialogue tip. We used it a little bit earlier. The tutorial dialogue, for some reason, has really high priority as well. Presumably because they want to teach you something, and they don't want you to miss out on that teaching opportunity or something. And unfortunately, all the tutorials are done by Claptrap. So Claptrap has probably some of the highest priority dialogue in this in the entire game. The only thing that can really skip Claptrap is Claptrap himself.
Don't worry about me.
You can sequence skip trap, right?
Not sure. So I'm saving everyone's ears.
Oh yeah, that's no fun.
I mean, they could EQ it in
nope.
studio. I
I'm
think it would
okay,
be fine.
I'm saving my ears. If they're
Okay.
EQing it in studio, then I'm saving my ears by doing that. You can see the explosions happening around me. They don't care about what level you set your audio at. So I have my audio at 1. They will play as if you have your audio at 10, and it's awful.
It is really bad.
And
That's
in co-op,
actually also the
sometimes
case.
it plays twice.
Yeah, that's also the case for Bloodshot a little earlier in the run. For some reason, shotgun sounds there are always at 10, regardless of like what your audio is actually at.
It was a little less noticeable, but then this one just makes your ears bleed. So,
I know you're angry
well,
at me
if
right
they
now.
EQ it in the studio,
Spend a
then
lot of
it just
time.
makes my ears
I'll
bleed.
explain everything. Just get to the fridge.
So something that we haven't really talked about this entire time, every single time I'm getting a car, I'm doing this funky menuing to specifically get this bandit technical. For some reason that is still baffling to me. The bandit technical is by far the fastest car in the game. If we were to spawn the saw blade and use that, you would just see how noticeably slower it is compared to the growl technical. So we have this funky menuing that we can do to spawn it really quickly and just get a lot of time driving throughout the course of the run.
Friends, after you get through
Yeah,
the fridge,
there's a lot of hotkeys that are available in this game that like aren't very noticeable to most people who play the game. Like for example, when he save quits, he's hitting end, and that drops you down to the final option in the menu. The save quitting really quick is escape end, enter, up, enter,
the door
and there's no delay time on how fast you can put that in for the menu. So if you can just do it really fast, then you can save quit in fractions of a second.
Fun fact, did you know you can use space instead of enter?
Blasphemous. We don't do that here.
It's
Blast.
I don't, but you can. So right there is
So-
where I ideally want to hit level 12. I didn't. It's not the worst thing because there's a ton of enemies here that I
I've
can
been following Jack's orders
hard
from
to
the
hit
beginning.
level 12.
Jack modified the power core you found to have a Hyperion
The fridge is a pretty short section. There's a lot of side quests that you can do in this area, but since this is any percent, we don't care about that.
Yeah, it's
We're just gonna.
at least playing. Oh, XP.
Ooh, nice.
At least playing casually. This was the part. Or I guess the first time I was playing casually. This was the part where things started to ramp up, especially not knowing what I was doing. Where
Oh yeah, the
enemies
scaling
started
gets
getting
really hard.
difficult.
I told them it was to protect Pandora from a great evil. That was a lie.
So this
Obviously, it's
mission
not
for
gonna
the
look
previous
like it,
scales
but-
up a few levels, and the one after this scales up like even like 3 or 4 levels more.
Open it himself.
So at this point we're starting to get really under level.
I'm so tired of
Hopefully, we're trying to pick up something here that'll alleviate that.
Yeah.
Without you,
We'll see if I get it without having to do a little bit of extra farming.
you have no
Sorry,
reason
I'm
to
gonna maybe
trust
end
me
up biting
any
my
more,
tongue.
Pat.
Oh, we're good.
If you're going to
Oh, it's a
stop
good one
Jack
too.
from
It's a good
124.
one. Not one of
So right
one
there-
of my famous ones, but
Yeah. Not today, unfortunately.
yes.
So right there, he bought an amp shield. So amp shields in this game have a property where if they're at full capacity, the next shot you take will drain some of your shield capacity, but will do bonus damage. And these are very useful, specifically on Gage, because she is a glitch, which make sure we can get full use out of that in a little bit.
Oh no. The phase block.
So the skill that I just spec into is related to that glitch that he's referring to. It's not going to be too useful until
Head to the iridium
10 or 15
extraction
minutes or
site
so.
nearby.
Is
I
whenever
think
we'll
I know
actually
how to
start
get you
stacking
back
it
to your
and
friends.
making use of it.
I didn't like
So story-wise, where we're at, I think, is Jack is attacking Sanctuary, so Lilith just teleported Sanctuary away, but we weren't on it, so we have to try and find Sanctuary. We found it, but we can't. It's in the air, it's flying, so the only way to get to it is to fast travel to it, and since it moved locations, we can't fast travel to the old one. Wherefore, Sanctuary not found, essentially. We're trying to get a new fast travel that has the new location in it.
So and there's
Go ahead.
something in this game. It's like a small thing, but it's very useful. Is that you can get weighted ammo drops if you're below a third of your max capacity of a specific type of ammo. So right there is easy. Threw a grenade before opening the ammo crates to manipulate the game into giving him more grenades. It's quite a small thing, but it's useful in a few spots just to maximize your grenades.
It's a small thing that I've been doing throughout the entirety of the run. It just hasn't been as noticeable. Right there with 5 grenades and an easy threshold that you can see. It's pretty noticeable. So we're supposed to ride. There's like a little cart that we're supposed to ride across the waterway. We can just grenade jump on top of the thing that the cart is riding on. And get over here really quickly.
You've got the beacon? Good.
Kill this enemy. He has a really big crit spot. Really easy to hit.
Fast travel unit from the moon base.
Did he drop you a launcher?
I think he did. I think he dropped it flat off actually.
Set up the beacon.
You're
I
so
definitely
lucky
heard the
this
launcher
one.
sound. Oh, I can do infinite ammo now, guys.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
No way.
See, this
Again,
is what I
double
don't get
infinite
about these bad guys.
Double
You know the hero's gonna win, but you just
Alright,
don't
so coming up is
And,
both the
example, this
best
one guy,
find and also the worst find, in my opinion,
burning,
in the speedrun.
I agree.
left and right.
I think it's probably the best way to put it.
This jackal rushes me with his
If you guys want to start explaining while I try to figure out how to drive in this series.
I was actually around for this one, so I know it happened. A runner by the name of Unicorn Moths was doing geared runs, and they were having huge problems with Overlook, which is the area that we're currently in. Because in geared runs, it's really easy to like soft lock Overlook because it's all timer based. You have to kill enemies within a certain span of a timer at a certain time, or the run will take a lot longer. So like, imagine in your head, you have to kill enemies within 2 minutes to 3 minutes of something starting. And that's why it's such a pain, because if you don't get it in that exact like minute time frame, then it waits another 2 minutes before it checks again.
You should have a fast
But Unicorn found that if you quit and restart, and this fails the beacon, eventually, if you do it 8 times, it puts it into a failsafe state that just automatically passes the mission for you.
So what ends up happening is it's a failsafe mechanism that Borderlands put in, that Gearbox put in. If the beacon breaks too many times, they start feeling bad for you. They're specifically, if it breaks 8 times, they put it into an invulnerable state so that they can be like, yo, don't worry about having to repair the beacon, just focus on killing the enemies. It's really helpful for later playthroughs, CVHM, where health scaling gets thrown out the window and the beacon can break really easily.
Yeah.
But once it's in that invulnerable state, you can just save quit and it will complete the wait fight.
Yeah, the failsafe was explicitly designed for UVHM, where the scaling just goes completely out of back, and you know, enemies will just one-shot the beacon. But luckily we figured out that it applies to every version of the game, and you can just kind of do it whenever.
So there.
Also,
Yeah.
at the start of this area, ZZ was checking the vendor, and he found a level 14 coach gun, because the shotgun he has now is not going to do any damage in a little bit, so you need a better one for late game. And he just got it first try, because ZZ's a gamer. So
Perfect RNG. We
also
seeded
level
the seed.
yes, we're cheaters.
That, failing the skip actually manipulated the RNG, so I got it first try.
Now
This always
they're
happens
actually
for Borderlands runs.
yeah, Marathon gets perfect
Runners are-
RNG.
Yeah, runners are always terrified and have all these backups in case you get really screwed by RNG, and then the run happens and you get a first try.
When Borderlands 2 started getting speedrun, there's actually a lot of discussion about whether we could use pre-made save files, like we explained at the start of the run, because some runners thought it would like maintain an RNG seed, and so you'd just always be running on a certain RNG seed. And then we actually looked into how the RNG is seeded, and it's seeded off of the pixel position that your mouse is at and the system clock of your computer.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah. So to do like anything repeatably, you'd have to have your mouse in the exact same position and start your computer at the same time, or start the run at the same time. So we put that theory to bed, which is good, because being able to start with pre-made save files makes the run really nice, and means you don't have to reset a bunch at the beginning for a sniper.
Oh, resetting was already bad enough with the minute-long cutscene, and then like the 6-minute auto-scroller essentially at the start of the run.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy we used pre-made saves.
Yeah. It also it makes the run a lot easier for like new players to get into, because they're not as like hard stuck in the early game.
The fast travel has landed.
Because your sniper can carry you a good portion of the way through. Like, you could theoretically use a sniper up until level 10 when you get the shotgun. It's just, it would be less fast.
Location, Sanctuary, is now
So,
available.
like we said, just by
Go quick.
traveling in and out, we completed the wave fight. So anyone who's unhappy about any of the safe quitting we're doing, you're in luck. That was the last safe quit of the run. Now we're gonna start to really ramp up, stacking up some of these glitches. So what I did right there is the first one.
Yeah, it's he's right there. He took off his shield, and he's doing what's called buck up glitch. So Gage just has a skill called buck up, where if your shield is anything below full, or like 80% or something, Death Trap will like shoot a beam at you, which will regenerate your shield. But if you then leave the area while this beam is active, that the like shield regeneration state will be preserved, and so your shield is always recharging. And this effect stacks multiple times. And so this is the reason we don't save quit, because if you save quit, all your stacks go away, and that's very bad.
Yeah.
There
There is a limit to how much you can be bucked up, but he's not gonna hit it in this run, and even in all quests you don't hit it with all the travels you do there.
Do you even stack it in Conquest?
And,
I don't know how often you even stack
non-solo.
it.
I mean, we stack it up to a certain point, and then I just was like, whatever.
There.
That's more or less what I do as well.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy with crit stacking there.
Yeah.
And also, buck up glitch plus the amp shield you got earlier is very good, because your shield will be recharging to full, and thus giving you the amp shot in your next shot. And if you get enough buck up, then you can get this extra damage on every shot. And that's very, very good, because shotguns have multiple pellets, and on this patch of the game, the amp damage from your shield will apply to every one of those pellets. And so he has a 200 or 150 damage amp, right? Something like that.
54, I think.
And 100. And so 154 times however many pellets is a lot.
And I guess
And
we
this
should.
is why Gage is
right
the
there.
fastest character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess we should reiterate again that we are running on an earlier patch of the game. This is on patch 1.1. We have a down patcher available for new runners. to get your game into this state. But this patch specifically has pretty much everything that we need to run. The pellet damage on amps stacking on every pellet of a shotgun instead of just being spread across it. It has infinite ammo. It has Axton Super Speed, which is a co-op only thing. If you could do Axton Super Speed,
That's not.
yeah. Well, okay, it's not on Handsome Collection, but
Yeah, all PC patches.
yeah. But yeah, 1.1 has everything that we need. And some runners will run on 1.3, which is the patch that Krieg came. No, not the patch that Krieg came out on.
That's a Tor DLC, Scarlet DLC, and Hammerlock DLC.
Yeah. Some runners will do on that because the only thing that's changed there is the amp shields don't do full damage. But it's more stable. It doesn't crash as much. So
There's also fewer soft locks and stuff like that.
yeah.
But the soft locks and hard locks are more applicable in all quests. Like if you try to run all quests on 1.1, you will crash in soft lock everywhere.
Yep. You can avoid them. Soft locks are avoidable, but oh boy, you really have to know how to avoid them.
Yeah.
And throughout this area, ZZ will be avoiding the save stations and the respawn stations throughout the area. That's because at the end, he's going to do a death warp to get back to the fast travel. On other characters, you just save quit, but again, we want to preserve our buck up stacks, so we death warp instead.
We're going to be taking a lot of really slow paths and really awkward paths, and the only reason is because we're skipping a save point. There's a save point in that building right there, so instead of going that way, we're gonna rope our way across if this guy doesn't ruin my day. Okay, we're good.
I'm so surprised that Skag didn't hit you.
I think I killed him with a grenade, actually.
Oh, you did, yeah. It's been a pup Skag.
So this is a really awkward path. We do it for a very specific reason because we do not want to hit the save point that's in there.
You just kind of showed up. Thanks for saving me the trouble, kiddo.
Here, previously before entering the area, we stacked some of the buck up glitch, which we're going to be doing throughout the entirety of the run. Here, we're also going to be starting to ramp up our anarchy stacks. It was useful for that one wave fight in Frostburn, and outside of that, we don't really stay in game long enough and kill enough enemies to rack up a lot of anarchy stacks. We can get it gives a little bit of a boost, but not enough to be super noticeable. At this point, since we stopped saving hit quitting, it's going to be very noticeable how much extra damage that we can do, and we're going to be able to get up to that 150 limit of anarchy stacks. So this is another skip that we're doing to skip a save point. So just going through the door. There's a save point right in front
Also,
of the door.
just a faster round.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
You do have
It's
to
also
hit the
the same.
button, and a lot of new runners forget to hit that button.
I have done that before.
So
And then if you don't hit the button and progress, you hard block your game, and then
yep.
And that is why you have to hit
you
the
can't progress.
And
On newer patches, they took that out, so you don't have to hit the button anymore.
yeah. And speaking of new runners, at the end of this, ZZ Rules made a tutorial recently to help get new players into the game. So I'll be linking that at the end if people are interested in learning this category. Come check it out. Discord is really welcoming. People are always there to help you down patch and get started breaking this game over your knee.
I'm just super supportive in general. We all get really hyped whenever anyone really PBs. It's some good times. But it's definitely a loving community amongst the members. Oh, this is the door that it will not open if you don't press that button. No. It's really important that we hit that.
For Bloodwing.
Then coming up, we have another awkward out of bounds
A little more
jump that we have to do to. Hello? Why is there a loader in here?
Just hanging out.
Why is there a loader in here?
I've never seen a loader there.
I've never seen a loader in there. So we could just go through the door that just opened for us, but doing so would hit a save. So we have to do this funky little out of bounds and a little bit of parkour to skip that save point. and you have to get back in bounds right here specifically.
Then throughout there, you have to stand on like very particular parts of the terrain, otherwise you fall back in bounds, or like
Yeah.
you get stuck on an invisible wall or something. It takes a bit of practice to get used to.
The terrain is not as solid as it seems.
Search the full
So it looks like he's super safe running across all of it, but genuinely it is. If you don't step in like these 5 exact spots, then you're gonna have an issue.
There's
this
another out
is-
of bounds here.
Another out of bounds. This is definitely probably one of the more out of bounds heavy sections of the run. Bloodshot Stronghold is the main one with the super big skip. But
That's like the one everyone knows.
yeah, but this one definitely has a lot of little minor out of bounds. There we are. So general theme
And
with
this is a
Borderlands
door.
runs. This is a wall. Walls don't exist in Borderlands games.
And this
Very,
is
very
another wall.
difficult game. Yeah, that's a wall. And then, so this is the arena that the next boss is going to be in. And luckily, there's a cutscene that trigger extends just to that corner, just far enough that we can hit it while still being out of bounds.
I've been doing some really interesting iridium experiments with her. Hate to see her go.
Going
Yeah,
back
if you weren't-
to stuff from Borderlands 1, this is Bloodwing, Mordecai's action skill from Borderlands 1. Slightly different than how we see him in the any percent run, but
Well, you see about 8,000 copies of him in the any percent run of Borderlands 1.
slightly different.
Anybody's interested in that game, that has a glitch called the Bird Machine Gun, where a free scroll wheel once again breaks the game.
God damn, I forgot the last one. What the hell was that again?
Also, you have to get back in bounds here. So if you mess up this grenade jump and are out of grenades, you're stuck out of bounds and you soft lock yourself.
But you gotta be
Unless you
first
want
run,
to.
do what you
my
can
first
to
run
do,
had
but if
that,
you can't,
and it was so disheartening spending an hour in this area.
Yeah.
Only to miss the
Yeah.
guy jump and have to save quit and redo it all.
I've lost many runs there.
Yeah.
Fire!
So this is Bloodwing. One quirk about flying enemies. You probably hear me spamming my keyboard really hard. If you're in the air whenever a flying enemy spawns, and I actually missed it right there. If you're in the air whenever an enemy spawns in the air, and if you go back in the air within a couple of seconds, couple of frames, then it'll just lock their AI in place, which is really helpful because she just kind of sits there for us to spam a bunch of bullets in.
Won't hurt, I promise.
It's not even just flying enemies. It's any enemy that has a spawning animation. So you can even do it with bandits that are coming out of like their little huts, which is kind of useful in the early game when you're trying to snipe and hit heads. And so right here, this is the reason we skipped all the save locations, because now we can death warp
Sorry
straight
about
back to the
Bloodwing,
start.
soldier, but we gotta keep moving.
Bloodwing's fine.
Hey,
Software upgrade.
Don't
Bloodwing's
think about it.
And we'll be able to get through
we didn't see it.
Bloodwing's fine.
We didn't see it. We
Or
didn't
it
hear
is
anything. So if I didn't see it, it didn't happen. Wait, Bloodwing's just chilling in there.
Bloodwing's taking a nap, so it's okay.
Yeah.
It's taking a nap.
Alright, sweet. Found it. Alright, this is a song for Mordecai's stupid bird.
So one specific reason why we down ourselves in that way, one quirk about Anarchy is if you die, you lose all of your Anarchy stacks. However, you only lose them if you see the death animation, the animation of your character falling and healing over, essentially. Whereas the way that we killed ourselves skipped that animation, so we don't lose our Anarchy stacks. Really, really helpful, and we use it a couple places in the run to kill ourselves and
Slap King. Now, he used
still
to be
keep all of our
opponent
energy.
of Raiders until his methods got too brutal. I didn't think ripping Hyperion a fish's limb from
One
a
thing that might be interesting, because I think everybody has a different way of doing this, is
Highlands. If you're looking for the Slap
so
King, that's
Gage's
But be careful.
aimbot skill
Lost
is
after Hyperion
it
killed
ricochets
his dog.
towards enemies. So like, what's your theory for where you look for certain enemies? Because I always had my own way of looking, and apparently everybody does it different.
It usually depends on the enemy that you're shooting and where their crit spot is. The ricochets will go to their center of mass. That grenade's gonna kill me, so let's not do that. So it'll ricochet to their center of mass. So for enemies that have crit spots in their head, you want to shoot at the ceiling if you can. Whereas for loaders where their crit spots are it's kind of all around their body. You can shoot at the floor and it'll ricochet into some of those grid spots. So it usually just depends on the enemy that you're shooting at, if that answered what you were asking.
Yeah, just, you know, there's a lot more, like, skill to doing this than, you know, scroll down, aim at enemy.
Yeah, there's a bit of skill to it. It's not just shoot the floor and everything dies.
Yeah.
No, sometimes it's shoot the ceiling and everything instead.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
knowing
exactly.
which part of that is which.
When you gotta look at the floor, when you gotta look at the ceiling.
Exactly. So here we're coming into the finale of meeting the L1 Vault Hunters.
Did you put on your new shotgun yet?
I was gonna ask, but I didn't want to be like, I missed it.
Nope, I missed it. I even, whenever I took off my shield, I said, oh, I'm gonna equip it at the same time to do 2 inputs at the same time, and I completely forgot.
Yeah, I saw the stock.
One really important aspect of the run is knowing what gear you have and what level you have it at, so that you can get the most out of the gear that you have.
And when your co-op
You also
partner
gotta
drops a
level-
gun on the ground, not forgetting it.
Oh yeah, that happens every room.
Yeah.
Basically.
One of the things Shotgun actually tested in this area was whether it would be worth to make a Goliath really huge and then kill it for the XP. Because it's like it's a pretty big amount of XP if you kill it, but it took too long, so we scrapped that.
I mean, that one did it. Actually, that Goliath leveling up or whatever kind of helped because the enemy that was there was in a really awkward spot that I couldn't really hit with close enough.
Like it technically saves time to take their helmets off, and
Yeah.
but not really.
So here we hit level 15. All amp shields, the lowest level they can spawn is level 15. So this is the first place where we can actually equip it, and you can just kind of see how much more damage I did and how quickly I cleared those second 2 waves compared to that first wave. Just because every
as amusing as it might be.
I just did the math already.
I love this dialogue skip. You just...
Oh.
I didn't just mess it up. Oh no, we're good.
Oh no,
Okay.
you have. Yeah, it's fine.
I used that right. We're good.
Yeah, that could have been bad.
That could have been really. I almost screwed that up.
It's right there. He swapped to the wrong quest, but it was a quest that the dialogue for had already played, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That happens a lot too. You swap to the wrong quest, and at certain points it does matter which quest you use where, but sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah, this one
is a
specifically
very
used to
specific
be...
one.
Yeah, this used to be 3 separate quest swaps, and we were just really annoyed because like this one small optimization was taking, 3 side quests to skip past, and then one day I accidentally played the wrong quest and it skipped everything. So
We've actually, I say we, I'm just sat down and actually like routed out quest swaps for all quests, and we literally have 3 quests that we could use there.
Yeah.
Just because we have so many different quests. We've like optimized using certain ones before we turn them in, and again I say we on this us.
It was unjust, or it was Deception. We did it mostly. And for the life of me, we have like 3 extra quests, and I can't figure out where to put them.
We could use them. We could use them right there. Go back to the roots. So this is a bit of an annoying section, in that we're going back to where we were kind of at the start of the run, where we have an NPC, we do a wave fight, we push him to the next area, do a wave fight, push him to the next area. The only real amount of optimization is just one, getting lucky with where enemies spawn, so that he's attacking the right enemy in the right location, and then killing the enemies so that he can do that as well. So these mortars.
So, yeah, mortars aren't. They're not your friends. So
they hurt a lot.
Triple left on ammo.
it's very easy to get hit by a mortar and then you die because you have no enemies to second wind off of and lose a whole bunch of time.
There's a hidden mechanic that's not really mentioned anywhere called health gate. If you're above half health, there is no one attack that can kill you. Even though I only have 900 health, if I were to take 1,000,000 damage from one hit, it still won't kill me. It'll still leave me at a tiny smidge of health. Unfortunately,
Wow.
That's pretty. Oh, it's level 20 though.
Yeah.
You won't hit level 20. Oh, you might, but
I'll have it for the end of the last wave fight and for the warrior. But for whatever reason, these ignore health gate, so they can just, even though you're not supposed to be able to die from one hit, you can still die from one hit. So, that's brick. That's the conclusion of the V1 Vault Hunters. There's a quick little optimization with trying to get bucket as fast as possible. Just throwing my shield on the ground and picking it up so that I still get the buck up stack, but I don't have to put it in my inventory, put it back on.
Yeah. Earlier in the game, you can also throw a grenade at yourself, and that can damage your shield enough. But with buck up, your shield starts regenerating immediately. So unfortunately, can't do that anymore.
Sorry to interrupt,
I got
but
a
we
job
have little time. Get to the City of Opportunity. To breach the final door to my chambers, you'll need to be Jack. That means passing a bioscan and
if
speaking
the-
a password in his voice.
I wonder if the vendors, I don't think the vendors have cycled yet.
no, I don't.
Yeah, not even close. So going back to keeping track of the gear that you have, I have a level 15 shield and I have a level 20 shield, which is, the early game shields could last us that long, but whenever we get really underleveled, we want shields to keep up with us to help our survivability a little bit. So ideally I get another amp shield in between them. It's not the worst in the world if I don't, but
That means passing a bioscan and speaking a password in his
Ideally,
voice.
you want one at
If you can
15
kill
and then
Jack's body
18
doubles in
is
Opportunity,
pretty good
I
because
can
there's
get you through that door.
an infamous area coming up at level 18. That it's very difficult, a lot of enemies and a lot of very small space, and very easy to die there.
yeah. We'll see how it goes. Jack, the big bad in the series, he's actually right here. This is the final boss. Jack is right here. This is not a volley double, I swear.
Okay, yeah, we're done.
done.
We finished the game.
Easy.
Yeah, not quite. If only.
Yeah.
If only. We're trying to impersonate Jack. Essentially commit identity theft. And impersonate him so that we can get into an area that we're not supposed to be at. So we're stealing his voice from these kiosks, using them as his pocket watch to record them or something. Because there's some sort of story that makes sense.
You're getting enough voice samples that Angel can synthesize a badge that looks like Jack's that you can just record your voice, drop your voice into.
They swap.
Well, okay. For some reason, Gage has a bug where she never actually sounds like Handsome Jack. And
Does it
that's
apply to Creek as well?
I think it's just this one line.
I know.
Is the line that you actually say,
Yeah.
is Jack still. It's just not Gage's dialogue line, which is really odd to me. So it leads to a really weird cell phone coming up.
Yeah, where she's like insulting Jack, but she's actually insulting herself
Yeah.
with her own voice.
Yeah.
A gang of lowlifes is out attach the pocket watch quickly.
At this point, you notice I kind of stopped looting. Oh, hello, friend. I've kind of stopped looting because at this point, if you look at here, everything in here is going to be too high level for me to use.
Testing 1, 2.
Which
1,
kind of
2.
crazy considering
And
some of
now
the
I have
levels that we
voice
get
of a
to.
douchebag.
Level 21 is too high for us to use the run, so the gear that I have is just about what I'm going to be finishing the run with. So
Yeah.
And there's not
looting
really
doesn't
anything
really-
else he needs to buy,
Yeah.
so there's no point in picking up to something.
And it's pretty impressive the amount of work that goes into overcoming the damage deficit that you have to deal with, because like I think anything past 10 levels is like 95% damage reduction.
It's something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, and so he's dealing with, you know, the warrior is going to be level 30 or 31. Yeah, 30.
32, I think.
I thought it varied. It's been a while.
I don't know. I don't look at the health bar. I'm trying to kill him.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to be at least 10 levels under the warrior, and that's going to be a huge problem for the end game.
Yeah, so if we didn't have all these damage glitches, we'd have to do a lot more XP farming, just to make sure we don't have that high of a damage reduction.
Yeah.
Which there is a run
It's
that
really
does
nice.
that does try to do it with as minimal glitches as possible. But not using the big game-breaking. Where am I going? Not using the big game-breaking glitches, and it's still a fun run in its own right. It has a lot of interesting tech that you wouldn't use otherwise. Oh.
And that runs current patch, so if you don't like down patching, then you can do that run. It's a little bit longer than 90%, but about half an hour.
And you actually use a different character too.
That's probably the thing that I like the most about the series. No matter who your favorite Vault Hunter is, there is a run for you, or they are the best character. There are so many categories in this series that there's bound to be a category that you play with one of your favorite characters. Gage has any percent, Zero has a new game plus any percent run. Salvador has start with whatever gear you want. Maya has the current patch run. Axton has anything co-op. And then Krieg has... Krieg is Krieg. Krieg doesn't need a run to be enjoyable.
Well, the any percent run for Krieg is so different from every other run that it's essentially its own category.
Yeah.
Like, well, we actually do have separate categories for every single character, just because they like the glitches you can do per character are so different that like it's not really fair to compare like a Gage run to a Zero run.
You say that they're only 5 minutes apart.
Well, okay, that's because the people running the game now are really, really good at the game. But yeah, it's not really fair to compare like a Gage run to a Krieg run. Okay, let's say that.
That is a much better comparison.
Yeah. So every character has its own category, and there are people who specialize in like I'm a Krieg runner only, or you know I'm a Zero runner only. You know there are people who did things like that. Yes.
Who plays the solo character anyway?
Yeah.
And right there is easy. Grenade jumped over the turns field, and if you run too far there, you actually soft lock, which is very, very bad. So you have to wait for Atlanta dialogue before crossing like the little hut as ZT was next to. And here we take a little path to avoid all the mortars, because again, mortars are the fun.
They're bad.
It's also really fast too, so it's just kind of the best of both worlds with speed and survivability here.
Yeah, more direct path, and you also don't die.
Yeah,
not dying is very good.
The enemies here are actually like a huge problem, because they start. It's difficult. It's A, difficult to hit their crit spots, and B, they have, to me at least, really strange AI patterns where they'll hit you and then run away from you, whereas most enemies will charge at you. So it's really difficult to actually find them and hunt them down to get out of second wind.
And especially if they down you from far away, you can't really do much with the shotgun.
Yeah. And an important part about those second winds, a lot of our damage right now is coming from our amp shield. And if we're down in Fight for Your Life, we don't have a shield, so we don't get any of the bonuses from that amp shield. So if we're ever in Fight for Your Life, our damage output is significantly reduced. So this enemy is probably the only instance in a solo run. We mentioned earlier that it was made for Xbox 360, PS3, so processing power was a little bit weaker than it is today. So there's actually a limit on how many enemies can spawn in a certain map at a certain time. It's really, really difficult to work around in co-op because you're so split up. You can be spawning enemies in two completely different areas of the map. But this is the main place where it happens in solo, where there's so many enemies that spawn in that one area after the gate that we need that badass constructor to spawn in order to open that door that we walk through. And so we just have to kill as many enemies as fast as possible so that that constructor spawns as fast as possible.
This upcoming boss is a really infamous one for a lot of people who play Borderlands casually instead of speedrunning it. A lot of people I'm seeing in chat, and I'm sure who have played this game, know of the Boar glitch that Zero can do, where the bunker's hitboxes overlap in such a way that you can use a certain skill and just shoot directly through bunker about 1,000 times in a row, and it instantly kills him. You can do this with any pistol. You can do this with the starting pistol.
If you like that scroll interact from the earlier on in the run, same exact type of sound.
Yeah. So this is slower than that, but Gage is overall faster as a character, just because she has anarchy and has the.
I'd say it's less about anarchy and more about that amp shield glitch, the bucket glitch.
Yeah.
For survivability,
Definitely.
Gage is the perfect combination of everything that you want in a fast first-person shooter type game. She has the damage. She has movement speed one that we'll get a little bit later. She has the survivability. She has everything that you need to go fast in a game like this.
Oh yeah, and if you scroll fire while EDSing, then your camera does that, and
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
even get your character to like completely flip, and you're looking behind you as you're shooting. It's really
I
bad.
mean, like that.
Yeah.
ADSing is
another
really
thing
good
about this area-
because it increases your accuracy, but also increases your accuracy, but your recoil goes a lot higher as well. So trying to navigate that is a little tough.
And this area is a little infamous because everything about it is RNG. Where these hurt spawns are completely RNG. So you can get like just consecutive spawns which are across the map, and you have to do like 2 laps of the whole area to get them all. And you can lose a lot of time doing that.
Overall, I got
And
a
then-
decent pattern.
yeah,
It was
it's pretty good.
Bad average.
I've seen worse.
Oh yeah, I've seen far worse.
And then after this, the main boss of the area will spawn, and it's RNG whether or not he'll even like he'll fly around the map, and then it's RNG whether or not he'll like come in close for you to shoot him. So he can, and then how long he stays for you to shoot him is also RNG. It's no fun. You can
You can
lose a
lose a
good chunk
lot
of
of time
to it.
here through no fault of your own.
And the community fastest time for this is like so much faster than every other gold we have, just because of how good RNG.
Yeah,
Luckily,
gear.
at least this first one he's cooperating. And you said there's something that you can level up on this that you can get not consistently really, but does save time if you can get it. Not like a perfect experience where I think if I get one more kill,
yeah, you're pretty close.
Did you get still phase too?
I'm like so close. to
So
getting it.
right here, bunker, flew around the map and landed in like the perfect spot. And also there's what's called still phase, where he'll just stay still like this in the air so you can shoot him. You can also kind of like oscillate back and forth, which makes it really hard to shoot him. But got
There's the
quite
kill
lucky
image.
here, which is good.
So that was a really good bunker pattern.
It
Still
was,
phase
like, a
lets you
perfect
just
bunker
put
pattern.
so many crits so many bullets into his crit spot. For different runs, you actually want a different phase, whether he's moving or not. Because for other
Yeah.
categories, you don't need him to sit still to kill him quickly.
Yeah, and still phase means he'll like sit there for longer. So if he's like moving back and forth, you can do. If you have the damage to kill him quickly, he'll go away quicker and move to his death phase. Also, after bunker's on 1 health, he has to go to a specific spot before he dies. So then we come underneath the platform here and shoot him to like a little gap in the platform. So we're closer to the next objective. And we don't need to check the loot because the loot is going to be like level 24, and we're going to finish the run at level 20. So
I'm
there's no need to
convinced
check it.
there's like a stash of 90 perfect shams that he drops that
Yeah.
just we don't know about. There's
Also,
a
it's
fun
really
skip.
slow to go down an elevator. So instead, we just don't do that.
Yeah, normally you have to wait for the elevator. Ooh, and you got the dunk.
Yeah. Oh. Control Core Angel.
This is a fun spot.
This
This
is every runner's least favorite section because this takes roughly the same amount of time in every single category.
He is here.
Yep.
There's
For the other
Jack from waiting
the other
for
characters, you
order.
can hit the button and then save quit to skip this cutscene. We can't do that on Gage because we need to preserve our glitches and whatnot. So there's a little bit of time there, but Gage is still faster.
But we can kill enemies faster and easier. So overall, it balances out through this entire area that
Jack spent years pumping
they're the same speed anyway.
Using
Yeah.
me to charge his and manipulate his
And
enemies.
so there's like not really any way to
Destroying
speed this
the
area
iridium
up.
injectors that
You
keep
just gotta
him
kill enemies as quickly as possible.
alive.
And
Will stop
this
the
area is
key
actually
from
the
charging, and
the
it
most
will
prevalent
end
use
a
of quest skips
lifetime of servitude.
in the run. It saves
Now,
like multiple minutes in this area alone because there's so much dialogue.
Yeah,
So there's the first one.
infamously put out a bounty on this area, which is $150 if we manage to skip it, but we also looked into the code and figured out that it's really not possible to do because the injectors don't spawn. They spawn in very weird places, and it's not possible to actually get them to spawn correctly.
So what we have to do to progress the story is we're actually trying to kill Guardian Angel. Now she's being sustained by these injectors, and we have to kill these to kill her life source and kill her because she's charging the vault key that Jack is trying to use to open the vault. So he's self-sacrificing in order to try and stop Jack.
Did we ever
did you know
explain
that
that we're going after
Angel
a
is
vault?
Jack's daughter?
Do you know Claptrap's a robot?
Listen, I was so sleep deprived when I said that, and it's gonna follow me forever.
It is, but it's still very, very funny.
Yeah. So I guess while we're going through this auto scroller, I'll plug a couple of the hotfix announcements. If you missed out on any GDQ hotfix shows, check out our archive of past runs and shows at youtube.com/gamesdonequick. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to join us over at twitch.tv/gamesdonequick to check out our live shows starting most nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. In the upcoming weeks, we'll be shifting times for a few of our GDQ hotfix shows. Check gamesdonequick/hotfix for more info. So, I told DZ I was gonna ask him a couple questions during this section. So, DZ, what
Nothing
got
better
you?
to do, really.
What got you interested in starting Borderlands 2?
So just playing it casually from the very start, it was one of the actually first casual shooter games that I played. I thought the art style was fun. I thought the combat was fun. At the time, I thought the story was really good too. In terms of speedrunning it, though, it was actually your GDQ run in what was it, AGDQ 2017. I saw the infinite ammo, the 2-player run.
Sorry.
I saw the infinite ammo glitch and was like, I just want to do that. I don't care about running this game. I just want to shoot a shotgun really fast and infinitely. And then it got to a point where, well, I have all the tools to start running. I have all this free time, like, I'm not actually learn a run. And then I fell into the rabbit hole of so many categories. There's so many vastly different categories, and just trying to get better and better. So.
Yeah, and it's really nice that a lot of the skills kind of apply to a bunch of different categories. Like if you're good at running any percent, you'll probably be good at running all quests. You know, it's the movement skills and the movement tech in Borderlands is replicatable. So a lot of it is manipulating enemy AI to do what you want them to do. So if you can do that in one run, you can do that in another run. So, what about you, Unjust? How did you get started with this? While we're still waiting out this auto-scroller.
I got the game like shortly after it came out, and I played it a bunch, and then actually it was Baru doing speedruns that first got me into it.
Yeah.
And then just from watching his runs, I learned the route, and then I don't know, just started running, haven't stopped.
Yeah, I feel like him and Broman were two people that really got, like, Broman's 2014 run was what got me into wanting to run this, because it looked really cool. So, I like, I always like when people, like, can pay the inspiration forward, you know? Doing one run inspires people to do more runs, which inspires people from then on. Kind of the
Never-ending train.
It's the co-op spirit of the community, you know?
Yeah. So we're just about done with the area. We have 2 less enemies to kill. It doesn't say anything cool.
Yeah, Loth talks right there, then she
Good,
overrides
Angel.
the quest text. And Angel can sometimes be spawning an ammo box here, which slows her down. It's random. There's no real way to stop it.
Just makes this area even better.
Yeah, even
I think
cooler.
she just finished that animation actually. So, one last dialogue skip, and we are done with Control Car Angel almost. If you care about story in this game, spoiler warning, I guess.
But this game is also 9 years old.
It's also 9 years old, and if you haven't played it, you should play it because it's a really, really good game.
Oh, it's the best game.
We gotta find Jack and take him out.
Unfortunately, this is the only category. I think this is the only category in the entire game where we have to watch this cutscene.
In which role it
That was
dies.
great, yeah.
Every other category can either save, quit, or leave the area. Gage is the only category that can't do that.
Yeah. Roland just
Gage
chills
just
with
hates
Angel
Roland.
the entire rest of every other speedrun.
And I got the most powerful siren on the planet to do it with. Lilith?
He goes to get one chance.
It's been so long since I've actually seen this cutscene.
I know. Going in between, like, I bounce around categories a ton just because I like running whatever I feel like at the time. Whether it's a category that exists or a category that doesn't exist. And going back to 80% Gauge, it's like, oh yeah, this is the cutscene. Like, I don't pay attention to it still, but just watching it, it's like, oh, right, this happens.
Jack blasted my personal safe out of my own store.
Oh.
And normally Marcus has a cutscene that'll activate if you walk through his area, but if you pick up his quests before you walk through, it doesn't play the cutscene. So that's convenient. I've done a few runs where I forgot to grab his quests, and then I have to sit through like a 30-second cutscene.
Yeah, that cutscene is completely tied to that quest. Conversely, if you watch the cutscene and don't pick up the quest and save quit, you have to watch the cutscene again. It's interesting way that they did that. We're transitioning into the end game section. It was like towards the end of the middle game section of the run, and here's the part where enemies are going to be really, really high level. They're going to be very, very underleveled, and things are going to start to get pretty difficult. So
Yeah, we're coming up to I'd say probably everyone's, or most people's, most hated area in the game, Solitude Cauldron.
especially when the person you're comparing against has a section that is 30 seconds faster than your gold. It's always fun.
This area can go very, very swimmingly, or it could go just completely horrendously based on like, what spawns you get and just your gear in general.
So I don't know, especially since I have a level 15 shield here, my survivability isn't that great. It has good damage, and I guess the entire theme of this is the best defense is a good offense. So hopefully that helps things, but we'll see how it goes.
It has good capacity for a level 15.
Yeah.
So it'll be fine.
This is a big driving section. We actually stopped playing an FPS for a little bit, and we decided to play a Mad Max game. Just drive around for a little bit to, I guess the third hub world. There's a skip coming up. If I can.
Damn it! Jack doesn't want us getting close to him.
There we are. Okay, cool.
It doesn't look like much, but it's quite difficult to
It
do.
is a very difficult skip that I am not consistent at all, but it skips
No, I
having to
can never
drive
hit that.
all the way around the area. So this is like the third hub world in the area, in the game. The first one was Three Horns Divide, which led to 3 more sections, and then Highlands, which led to 3 more sections, and now we have Meridian Blight, which also leads to 3 more sections. So third hub world in the game. And here we have Sawtooth Cauldron. What makes this area difficult is there are a lot of enemies that spawn in a really tight area. A good chunk of the game is pretty decently open, wide open, and here you're just very, very cramped with all the enemies right in your face, while also being 6, 7, 8 levels underleveled. You can see, even though we're really underleveled, we can kill them really quickly, but they also kill us very, very quickly. I got a little unlucky with spawns here. There's 4 commanders that are supposed to spawn 2 out of each door. And I got unlucky, only 1 spawn first. To kill those guys and then come back to get this last one. And then we have a grenade jump coming up. There are, again, a ton of enemies in this area. And I have to do a grenade jump with all these enemies shooting at me, so I try to do my best in clearing out these enemies while I still have a shield, so that I have my most damage. And then we get to the part where Deathfather Death Trap. This is an awkward grenade jump. It seems like every single runner in the community has a completely different setup for how to do it. Just
I think everyone does the one that I don't do. People always make fun of me for it.
Okay, strong. I bet.
I think it's fine enough.
There's an awkward trigger that's right here. Can get
a little more to the left.
Yeah. There.
So yeah, you're supposed to like have to run farther back through that area to hit the trigger, but Deceptics found I don't even know what to call it. Just like, you can hit the trigger from a spot you're not supposed to. For some reason, it's very precise. Well, it's not that precise, but like it's just a tiny little bit that's just above your head. So if you just jump in the right spot, you'll hit it. I don't know why it's there, but it stays in 10 seconds. So.
Someone with a launcher. Someone in the community actually recently put together a mod that visualizes some of these triggers, so you can just see like, oh, you have to go to this area to hit this trigger, and that trigger that I hit is literally just a ball, a circle just floating in midair. It's really funny to see, and I don't know why the trigger is there, but hey, it's fast if you can hit it.
You don't do the thing.
I can't get it, and I know I'm doing something wrong, but I honestly don't know what it is that I do wrong.
You have to like run up against it until you can't run any farther, and then you jump on top of it.
Oh, you actually killed that guy.
Yeah. He gives a little bit of XP, plus no sense leaving an enemy that can obliterate you really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's downed me as I've been in the elevator before. And so then you have to ride the elevator up as you're bleeding out, and call it back down, and then go back up.
I'm gonna be safe and just send that down again, just in case. So that
I got level up bonus.
I kind of lied earlier. This is another area where we get heavily spawn locked by all the enemies that are spawning here. We need to kill 5 buzzards. That's actually gonna really help.
So you'll notice he's spamming jump here again. Buzzards have a spawning animation, so if you spam jump, you can get them to just sit still. And that makes this area so much better. Because trying to hit these buzzards with a shotgun, with the accuracy that you have at this point, is...
Not even just a shotgun, it's actually really good. Not even just a shotgun, we have max anarchy. So, we said earlier, it increases your damage at the cost of your accuracy. So if they're flying around, it is very difficult to actually hit them.
That was a pretty clean sawtooth.
That was, for the gear that I had, that was actually really clean. I'm really happy with that. So, the developers actually put a really neat thing. If you do that grenade jump that I just did, but a little bit later, they added in a dialogue line from Brick, being like, "Did you just jump off the top of the buzzard's nest?" I'm like, super proud of you or whatever, but we do it too early, so it doesn't say it.
My favorite part about our quest is that you get to hear that line.
I think it's an optional objective that shows up.
Oh, maybe.
And that's why the dialogue line triggers.
That would make
there's
sense.
no objective. It just triggers after you complete the after the buzzards grab the things.
So, conveniently, there's a bounty board for quests in this area right next to where we spawn in. And I think those are the last quests we pick up that we swap with. Every other quest swap that we do to skip dialogue, we already have. Oh. I'm already level 19, which is really good, which means I'm probably going to get that level 20 shield a little bit earlier than usual. So, here there
If you
next
get
is...
King Mong, you should stop for him.
Oh, if I get King Mong, I'm definitely killing him.
I have no clue. I've never gotten that
Neither do
card
I.
whip in my life.
Neither do I.
Like, I don't know why that works.
Neither do I. It just works. There's a certain setup
right
that we
here-
do to try and get that car warp, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And so right there is easy drove past. Like, he took not a straight line to the pipeline to hit the save there, because we're going to be doing a death warp in a little bit. Oh, you're doing the new strat.
Yeah. Every time I've practiced it, I've actually forgotten about it. Well, let's see if I actually do this strat properly.
What? Why were you...
What?
Oh, so the new car you spawned inside of the other car. And so it flung the other car up into the air.
Nice.
So he's easy spawning the vehicle too at the other pump station there, just so you can teleport to that car without having to drive back. It's another new optimization. Saves a couple seconds.
Well, saves a couple of seconds if you don't get spawned by the car.
No, that was optimal. Trust me. It saves
RNG.
seconds. Yeah.
RNG. Which I need for this area, so
Yeah.
for this next section. This is probably the other really hard section. Same thing as in Sawtooth. A lot of enemies spawn in a really tight order, so...
And they spawn with snipers, and snipers do a lot of damage too, as you can see as his health just gets deleted.
So we use Death Trap as, again, death fodder.
He's just distraction at this point.
He's just distraction at this point. That was really good. That was really good.
That went
Holy.
perfect, yeah.
So this is another section. You can go ahead and just...
So you need the enemies to down you right there, because if you go down and then hit the death barrier there, you don't see the ragdoll animation for when you die, and so you preserve your anarchy.
Just like with the...
Sometimes it can be...
Just like dying with the elevator that we did earlier.
Yeah.
Skip the dying animation, so we keep all 140 of our anarchy, which is really, really important.
And then sometimes in that pump station you have situations where the enemies will like down you multiple times as you're trying to hit the cranks, and then as soon as you need them to shoot you, they'll all miss, and
Yep, exactly.
it's really annoying.
So how that second pump station goes greatly affects how this pump station goes as well. My car is very stuck. So all of those enemies that were down there are still spawned, so they're hogging up all of the spawns, which means nothing spawned at that third one, whereas if we go down, we have to kill enemies, so... I did not mean to do that.
Oh, you did the thing!
I did not
No,
mean to
go
do
through!
Pipe?
It's fun.
that. Okay, fine. I don't do the pipe.
Okay.
So we normally don't do this,
We don't
but
do
this is fun. You can get a car in this pipe and drive through.
It's gonna make this next part more difficult.
It's alright.
You know,
I believed.
I didn't even mean to get it, but I got it, apparently.
I haven't done that in so long.
I know. So what we're supposed to do, the whole point of this was so that we can go through the pipe to get to this area. You don't need to go through the pipe to get to this area. You can just grenade jump onto like a rock over there and just skip that pipe and go directly here. Oh. Coming up here, we have definitely an infamous part of just Death Trap being death fodder again. But in doing so, he does probably the best job he's ever gonna do at being death fodder. We have Saturn coming up, and for anyone who's familiar with the game, Saturn is a really difficult boss.
And Saturn
makes him
also
difficult.
doesn't have any crit spots.
He does not have a crit spot, and a lot of our damage comes from having a lot of crit damage. With the amp damage, the anarchy, the extra crit damage, that's how we do get a lot of our kills, so we cannot touch Saturn at all. Which is not what you want. So we're gonna manipulate him a little bit.
Real bad.
Yes. We're gonna manipulate him to jump down so that he's not in our way. And we're gonna let out Death Trap, and for whatever reason, he turns, directs his entire attention to him, and Deathtrap survives a good amount of time, a perfect amount of time for us to completely run past Saturn and just ignore him. So, this is a really difficult one for new players, because if you get it wrong, then trying to get past Saturn normally is not possible.
Saturn is...
Yeah, you just have to run and cross your fingers at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, which generally doesn't work out. Need a little grenade jump here.
That grenade jump is like quite annoying.
It's
You
deceptively
like, have to throw
difficult.
the grenade on. Yeah, because you have to throw it like on the slant of the stairs, and it doesn't go where you want it.
So those exploders spawned outside as we were coming in. This is fine.
I think it should be alright.
Yeah, I'm fine. And I'm gonna kill you last on my amp shield. Alright. Ending could have been better, but not too bad for like, those are two very, very scary sections back to back. So getting those without any deaths is really, really good.
Yeah. Full dying would mean he loses all of his anarchy, which is a huge problem this late in the game.
Yep. I do have a little 20 amp shield that I can sort of make up for it, but alternatively I could have the anarchy and the amp shield. So.
Yeah.
Okay, no los dos.
So we're on the last mission of the game.
Yep. Pretty quick run. All things considered. Considering and so one thing I wanted to talk about earlier is you might be surprised to learn that there are actually clips in this game, and you can get into places like Heroes Pass early. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the main quest of this game is so well coded that it's impossible to break.
That's not where we're supposed to go, by the way.
Other side quests of the game are possible to break, and do things like way out of order, but the main quest is really structured from place to place.
Yeah, actually as soon as you enter Iridium Blight, you can go to the final boss arena. Unfortunately. Which I knew, but I didn't consider whenever I tried making bingo for this game. So I like structured everything and timed everything as if, oh, you have to wait until you finish this part of the story to get to this part of the area. But no, you can, as soon as you enter here, you can go to the last part of the area. So difference is you just can't do anything in it until you actually get to the story portion.
Yeah. Now you have to deal with the surveyors.
Well, first we get to go all the way back to the start of the run, where we get to escort Claptrap. As if we haven't missed that enough. Yeah, this is another scripted way fight, not nearly as bad as Control Core Angel, because there's a bit more optimization you can do. Control Core Angel enemies just spawn so slowly that you can't really optimize how you kill them and killing them as fast. But here, everything spawns super quickly, so the first couple waves are kind of meaningless. A couple trash enemies that spawn that we can kill almost immediately. But the later rounds, there's 10 enemies or so that spawn that you want to kill in a very specific order and in a very specific way to be really fast. Okay, while we're sitting here, just because it's easier to see things, we have just about max anarchy, and if I just fire in the sky, you can see just my shots are leaving my crosshair. They're that inaccurate. So trying to hit an enemy that's flying with this accuracy is, even with close enough, we just don't have the damage at this point to be able to kill flying enemies.
And in a couple waves, he's gonna get flying enemies called surveyors, and it's kind of RNG how many you get. You can kind of control it a little bit if you don't kill the surveyors immediately.
They also suck real bad to fight.
Yeah, they're really annoying. You can manipulate them to, like, if you damage one of these loaders and without killing it fully, you can manipulate the surveyors to come repair the loaders. And they're a bit easier to kill. But otherwise, they're very annoying.
And you can lose up towards like 30 seconds if you get a badass surveyor that you can't lock into place because he's just flying around and your shots aren't doing enough damage to kill a badass enemy with like 1 or 2 pellets going into him. Unfortunately, I didn't get the enemy that I wanted to spawn. 3 damage.
We only got one surveyors.
Nice. Ow. So, this specific loader we want to wound. So you can kind of see he has like a repair icon. And with that icon, Surveyor is going to repair him and just sit still for me to be able to kill.
And the surveyor can only repair certain loaders here for some reason. So if any of the loaders spawn that like right in front of the door, surveyor won't repair them.
Yeah, it's like these loaders were mean to the surveyors or something. So they're like, I'm not gonna heal you now.
Yeah, those loaders bully the surveyors in great skill.
Like those toxic teammates that you can get in some FPS games. Oh, you said something mean to me, so I'm not gonna. Okay, I got really unlucky with the.
You got the worst possible spawns, yeah.
Just we're gonna see how bonus means I get a new shield. That's pretty. So that loader almost did too much damage now with the level bonus. It's fair. This is fair. The badass is really difficult to kill otherwise. It's flying around, but since he's locked into place because he's trying to heal, we can just fire shots him really easily. Okay.
And that's the waypoint. And then there's a out of bounds you can do here, and it only saves 2 seconds. But 2 seconds is 2 seconds.
It saves 2 seconds and it completely breaks my bingo.
It does.
I'm still so sad about it.
And it only saves time if you do the quest skip as well.
Wait, it's still time save.
Together we shall free Pandora. I will lead you into battle. I will destroy Handsome Jack with my bare hands. I will.
I'm finding the wrong quest.
Yeah, you did put them.
These next 2 areas are so fun to tease on Just with because we have 2 quests left. Both of them are Jack quests, and I play them in a completely different order because I think it's funnier. And then Just plays them in a different order because he thinks it's funnier. And then there's one jump coming up that is on just a heart attack every time he watches me do it.
Oh, the way you do it is so scary.
Yeah.
Like you just YOLO it. Like the way everyone else does the jump, they have like if they mess it up, they have a backup. But if you mess it up, you just die.
Oh, I don't mess it up. Oh.
Fair enough,
I'm 100% jinxing myself by saying that. So this is Here's Pass. This is like the big gauntlet area before the big final boss, and enemies in here hurt. We take very specific routes through here to try and avoid as many enemies as possible, because they're just going to obliterate us if we try and face them. Let's see if I get lucky with spawns. I'm not really lucky. There's 2 enemies that spawn right here. This exploder spawned in a bad spot, but then there's this other one spawned up top. We go here, and then one more instance of. Those are a lot of. You guys can't hear it, but it's like double flat off sniper. Death Trap did not last very long, but he did his job. He distracted the snipers long enough for us to pass. Okay.
And typically you're supposed to push to this area with Mordecai and Brick and clear out enemies along the way. But for every gate they put in your way, there's a way around it.
Exactly.
So that's fairly convenient. And here again, taking a very precarious and unusual route to avoid as many enemies as possible. And this jump is so scary.
Yeah, I don't do this too often. I know it's faster, so. Grenade jump here, and then another grenade jump here, which is such an easy grenade jump that saves so much headache. It's a much more direct route, and it also skips a badass surveyor from spawning, or a badass constructor from spawning, which just makes things safer as well. So there's a trigger right there that we just skip.
I missed that. I missed that jump in a run I had, and I missed it too because of it.
Oh no.
That was not fun.
That was Here's Pass, and we're in the Vault of the Warrior.
So this is the final area of the game. All we gotta do now is kill Jack, kill
You're a
the
plague,
warrior.
bandit. You and your kind have corrupted Pandora with your greed and your hatred. It
Intended
comes
route that
down
they
to
want us to
me
take is
save
go
this
all the way
world
around
from your
here.
kind.
There's an elevator you take
more than
down,
happy to do it.
but it's slow. We can just maneuver around this terrain. You jump right here. And here's the jump that gives him just a heart attack.
Oh, it's like so. It doesn't look that scary when he does it like that, but if he was any farther like to the left, he would have died.
Yeah, this is another example of the terrain looks a lot more forgiving than it actually is.
Yes. So just skip directly to the final arena, and here's the final bosses. So Jack's been hyped up as this super big bad. He killed Roland in one shot without even breaking a sweat.
Hey, you're right on time.
One of the best villains
Nearly
in
ready.
video game history.
Before I cleanse this planet for
And then
good,
whenever it comes to
I'm
the
gonna
speedrun,
avenge my daughter.
he's bit of a pushover. Is that one way to put it?
Yeah, he doesn't fight back too much.
Yeah. If you break his shield, then he goes into a very specific spot to call for backup, and he just sits still so you can put a ton of bullets into his crit spot and just kill him quickly. Probably my least favorite part of this speedrun, because casually he's such an intimidating villain in the fight. At least the first time around is a really difficult fight, and then in the speedrun we just make it really trivial.
And this is the final boss, the warrior.
This is the final boss, the warrior, and it's actually a I don't want to say difficult fight, but it's difficult to
Surprisingly hard. Yeah.
difficult to do quickly is a good way of putting it.
Given how the other bosses have gone, you'd think this would be easier.
So
it is possible to kill warrior, like do all his health in one cycle there, but it's very difficult. You need very good gear.
and then after he goes into lava,
I've
he
never
can spawn
done
in
it,
one of
so.
he can spawn in one of 3 locations completely randomly. The general theme of this fight is just put as many shots into his crit spot as possible. Depends on the amount of anarchy you have, depends on the shotgun you have, depends on the amp shield you have. We'll see if I can do enough. Same with I think primarily Bunker. Once you get him to a certain health, he has to go into a specific spot, be in a death phase to actually be able to kill him.
That should be this.
I don't know if that's going to be death phase.
I am.
Oh, wait, it's death phase. It might not be death phase. We'll see if I can do enough damage.
I think this is that phase.
It is death phase. Cool.
There we go.
And that is the final boss.
Yeah. The time is coming up pretty soon.
There's one more
when he
dialogue skip.
grabs- It's when he grabs the final vault. It's when he grabs the vault key.
To kill the boss, we have to wait through like a 35-second-ish in-world cutscene of where you're going. Fun fact, in earlier patches, he disappears. You can actually see the loot, but in this patch, you can't.
And time.
Wait a second. Let me.
Right.
You don't want to touch this.
That was a
right now,
really
trust
good run, actually.
Yeah, it was. There were places that it could have been better, but all things considered, it was a pretty decent run. Endgame went so much better than I was expecting.
5 minutes ago.
Endgame
If it
really
weren't for the Vault
smoothly.
Hunter, we'd all be dead.
What was the final time?
That's her way of saying we
Still waiting for it to come up on my side.
If I never see this key again,
It's a 216.
it'll be too
At the very
soon.
least. It's pretty
216
good.
RTA.
Fun, you
That's-
Yeah.
alien
That's a
piece of
really
not
good
bad.
run, yeah.
That is not
That's-
bad. Generally,
That
there's
might
about
almost be
10
a sub
minutes.
210.
There's about 10 minutes of load goats, give or take, for my setup. But that was probably a sub 210 in game time,
Yeah.
You know what's a really good run?
which is really, really solid.
No rest for the wicked.
So I just want to shout out ZZ Rules again. Thank you for coming on and doing this, being the first
Thank you for
AIMBOT show. being willing to ride with me as I figure out the format of the show.
No worries. Thanks for asking me. I'm honored
of course.
to have kicked the show off.
Yeah. Thank
We
you,
gotta
Unjust, for
drop
coming on and
unfortunately.
commentating as well. For people in chat interested in learning this run, ZZ Rules made a tutorial, which I'll drop in chat right now. It's the first of 2 parts, and it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in this run. Otherwise, check out the Borderlands 2 page on speedrun.com. There's a lot of guides and resources there. And
not even just Borderlands 2. There's also a tutorial for the pre-sequel as well. We talked about it slightly, but it's essentially just an add-on for BL2. Very, very similar, but also very, very different, and also very, very fun.
yeah. And y'all have any other shout-outs?
Just if you're interested in the run, make sure to check out the Discord. There's loads of people there that'll help you out. Feel free to ask questions.
And feel free to post your times. We love it whenever people post their PBs. We get excited ourselves whenever other people improve. It's a really fun run, and very, very much worth the time into learning.
Yeah,
If you
definitely.
like the series. I've got nothing else that I can think of.
Yeah, I've just got some final housekeeping things. Like I said earlier, we'll be shifting times for some of our GDQ HotFix shows. Check GamesDoneQuick/HotFix for more info. GDQ Sum of Best Segments is now launched on YouTube. It's a highlight channel with regular videos like our main channel, but small highlight reels for all the main events and hotfix things. And as we're heading out of here, this was AIMBOT. This was the first AIMBOT episode. Thank you all for coming by and checking it out. Really excited to show off the FPS runs that have inspired me and so many others to start speedrunning and to really continue our journey into this. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern with Mercy Kill and Never Before Seen.